What's up, everybody? How are we doing? How are we doing today? Nice little Wednesday stream. I am trying to go live on the earlier days of the week. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I'm trying. Okay, keyword is trying. So hopefully you guys will enjoy. But yeah, I got a good stream for you guys today. Got a lot to kind of cover in a way. Nothing that's super important, but really more trivial or silly things. I suppose this is important. The guy who's been going viral recently, Chud the Builder, I think his actual name is Dalton Etherly or Etherly. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly. However, he got into a self-defense shooting today. And if you haven't been paying attention on Twitter or even Instagram at this point, this guy has been going insanely viral. You almost can't even go and scroll past 3 or 4 videos without seeing some clip of him going up to a group of blacks and going, "They're chimping out." And so I suppose today he ran into some guy who was willing to lose everything. And that's the problem, right? If somebody's willing to lose more than you, then you can bet your ass they'll get you in a bad situation or a sticky situation. And so I think he goes up to some guy today. He provokes him, and the guy wails on him. He starts throwing punches. Allegedly, he starts wailing on him. Those are the words of Dalton himself in the recorded police call or the interaction he had with police. I have all this stuff pulled up here, so we'll react to it in a moment. And I guess he shot the guy. However, it seems that the guy is in stable condition. That's great to hear. It seems that Chud himself had grazed his own arm in the shooting. Things happen quickly, so that's very believable. Thankfully, they're both okay. And I'll give my opinions on it and everything like that because I know a lot of you guys probably want to know what I think. And then we'll go over Trump that's currently in China right now. He landed earlier today, I think it was, right? It wasn't last night. It was earlier today. However, I think he met the assistant minister or vice president. I'm not sure the official position for the one who met him on the tarmac when he came off of Air Force One with the grand red carpet reveal and all the students surrounding him and parading him with the Chinese and American flags. And so it's going to be a 2-day summit in China. The last time a U.S. president was in China was, I think, 10 years ago, just about a decade ago, and it was Trump who was in China during his first term. So he's back to meet with the president of China, Xi Jinping. We'll see what happens there. They will probably be talking about several things in regards to the agenda that I read. Trump brought alongside several CEOs, notable ones, Steve Cook, Elon Musk, and other notable names, CEO of BlackRock as well. And so I guess he's trying to make some really big deal here. We'll see what happens. And of course, I'm sure the topic of Iran will surface as well when he talks to Xi Jinping tomorrow. Or maybe they're talking now since China's ahead of us. And so we'll see what comes of that, and we'll pay attention to the news. So we'll go into the whole issue with Chud the Builder, the shooting. We'll go into the situation with China, and really not much to talk about except what comes out of the talks that Donald Trump is planning to have with Xi Jinping. Of course, Taiwan is going to be heavily involved in these talks. Maybe the situation of tariffs will come up, the Iran war, trading, and other things. Hopefully, all positive developments come of that meeting, so we'll get into that. And then we'll also react to Pete Hegseth and Kash Patel speaking before Congress. Of course, they have aggressive hearings as per usual. Pete Hegseth is being pressed on this war. Kash Patel being pressed on more scandalous things like his drinking and others. So we'll go into all of this good stuff. I posted an article on X the other day, and I'll read the article later because I don't want to go into the Iran situation right now because it's kind of stalemated. We've been in limbo for the last few days, so there haven't been many developments. But I will just say this. This article is titled, and we'll read it, so don't worry. We'll read it. This article is titled, U.S. Intelligence Shows Iran Retains Substantial Missile Capabilities. What did I say? What did I say? I told you guys this would happen. So very interesting set of developments here. But it seems like Iran still has everything they need. They still have everything they need in order to continue or really restart the war with the United States. It says here, secret new assessments say Iran has operational access to 30 of its 33 missile sites along the Strait of Hormuz, suggesting that its military remains far stronger than President Trump has asserted. Hey, don't tell me I didn't tell you. Okay, and I said that on Twitter as well. I posted it. I said, I'll just leave this here. Don't tell me I didn't warn you guys. All right. So crazy stuff. Oh my God, this dark mode extension is like making my computer glitch out. I may just have to turn this off. Give me 1 second while I fix this little, I don't like this extension. I'm going to remove this and refresh my pages. It's making my X glitch out. I should have known better. Okay. You know, I got dark mode so I can read these articles in dark mode because they're so bright. Like, look, it's going to light my face up. What in the world? Okay. Give me 1 second, guys, while I set up these articles a little bit better. I'll refresh these pages. Okay. So I guess we'll get into the situation with Chud the Builder. So if you guys didn't see on X, again, Chud the Builder is this new guy on the scene, this controversial social media personality, and he pretty much goes up to usually black people and he asks them this set of questions. You know, he'll be like, oh, you know, how you guys doing? Do you guys believe in free speech? And this is kind of like one of his starting lines that I see in his most viral clips. He'd be like, do you guys believe in free speech, whatever? And they'd be like, yeah, we believe in free speech. And the interaction starts off friendly. And then he just drops the N-bomb. Not maliciously, but he drops the N-bomb casually. Like, oh, so I can say, you know, hard R. I can't say because we're on YouTube, so I've got to be careful. And, of course, things get violent quickly. And this is to be expected. It's not a secret that blacks are very easy to provoke. I'm telling you as, I guess, a black, depending on who's calling the shots, because apparently to some people I'm not black. But, you know, it's obvious that, and I've said this before, and maybe this is something that people will disagree with me on, but it's a bit of provocative behavior. And the reason why is because he is exercising his First Amendment right. There's no doubt to that. However, you've got to understand there's always nuance there. And so if you're saying something that is derogatory or highly offensive to a group of people that take pride in not only who they are and their self-image, but really take strong offense to the history of that word, what it encompasses, well, then you're going to get a negative reaction. Now, what's my opinion on everything before we react to all this stuff? If a white person comes up to me and they go, hey, does me saying the hard R bother you? I wouldn't care at all. And if they called me one, I wouldn't care. Rather, I'd probably laugh. And the reason why is because I would never let a word upset me. At the end of the day, a word is just a word. And I understand that may not be popular amongst a lot of black people. Maybe some black viewers are watching now and they don't like it. It's too bad. I guess we'll have to disagree. However, if you let a word choke you that bad and entangle you with your emotions to the point where you will start wailing punches on somebody or lose your control, well, then you're an easily manipulated person and you'll probably never get far in life. See, I'm somebody that likes to think I have a lot to lose. There's a lot of things in my life that I value. My family, my freedom, my liberty, my ability to go live and share good times with you guys, give you guys the news, interact with you guys, you know, going to work, I guess. I don't really like going to work. But all these things I enjoy about life, I'm not going to lose that because somebody says a word that's abrasive. I also think, and again, this is likely unpopular, at the end of the day, the N-word really means nothing if you don't allow it to mean anything to you. Somebody may say, oh, that word is derogatory. That word is meant to be harmful. It has a malicious history. And so that might be true, but it's on you to really disarm the effectiveness of that word or how much it can really provoke you. So what's my opinion when Chud goes up to these black people and he says, can I say the N-word? I think that they're all idiots for getting mad. I think they're idiots for attacking him. And I think, and this is kind of a part of his plan, he exposes how easy it is to provoke us, which in and of itself is really an expose of our low IQ or EQ, whatever you really want to quantify that as. And that's one of the biggest issues that is a stiff leg to the black movement and the black community actually edging along and becoming a well-developed group of people. As we all know, our community, and I say our because I'm black, right? But the community of the blacks has been really stagnant, and it has not grown along the way I would like it to grow along in maybe the last few decades. And of course, we can go back to the history with civil rights and everything like that, but I don't want to make this some history show. I really want to react to the news and give you guys all the good stuff here, but I think it is worth mentioning my position. I think anybody reacting to the N-word negatively, I think that you should try and exercise some self-control. I mean, if somebody's able to control your emotions, if somebody's able to control whether you commit a crime or not with a word, then you really have to reevaluate what's important to you. Now, I'm not saying you have to react positively to somebody calling you that. Maybe you can ignore them. Maybe you can walk away. Maybe you can have a conversation with them and be an intellectual. But to react violently and out of emotion is never a good look. And violence is also never the answer. And so I know a lot of people may not like that in the chat. Sorry, that's just my opinion. And a lot of people hate this guy. And I understand that because he's provocative. And somebody asked me the other day, they said, you know, what do you think about Chud the Builder and his actions? And I said, look, I'm not the biggest fan of the provocation. I'm not the biggest fan of, you know, going up to people and trying to get a reaction out of them. I think that that's a little bit shallow. However, he is kind of achieving the goal of his mission, which is to expose that it's easy to provoke black people with the simple use of a word. And I think we have to get to the point now in 2026, moving onwards, we have equitable or really equal opportunity in this country, regardless of what you may say. If you're a black person and you want to make it, if you're Hispanic, if you are a minority and you want to make it and you want to make something of yourself, the country provides ample opportunity to do so. Has that always been the case? Obviously not. But that's history, and history is no longer with us. We are now in the present, and the only thing that really exists is present and future. For all intents and purposes, especially when we're speaking optimistically in light of not caring about a word, the past does not exist anymore. It is the past. And so I really think that's important to harp on. And look, you can disagree, you can agree. I don't mind anybody who goes against what I'm saying, but I think that my stance, I think that my outlook on this is the outlook that will actually carry black people farther. And so I don't know if it's smart. Now, look, he's very provocative, and I'm going to show you guys some clips of the provocative things he does. However, again, you're playing into their agenda. You're playing into their motives. You're playing into their plan when you react to these, you know, actions online and this gesture online. You react to it negatively because you give all these white people exactly what they want, which is exposing the fact that, you know, blacks are violent and blacks are criminals. And it's really not all of them. It really isn't. And I know that because I'm one. I know that because I have tons of black friends who would never react this way. Now, maybe if you curse back or something, that's fine, right? And that's your ability in exercising freedom of speech, right? But to get violent and attack somebody because he's calling you the N-word with a camera, you know, you would own him a lot better if you just didn't react. Think about it. All these clips where Chud is, you know, provoking black people, because that's effectively kind of what he's doing. Imagine as a black person, instead of getting mad and wailing on him and getting super angry and losing control of your emotions and blacking out effectively, imagine instead of that, on the contrary, you react by going, that's funny. That's not the best use of that word, but what actually motivates you to say that word? What if you reacted that way? Or what if you just chuckled and kept walking? You know, that would only make him look like the aggressor. You do realize that, right? When you don't react to somebody trying to provoke you, you will make them look like the loser in that situation, and you will come out on top. And I've seen clips where black people have responded favorably and where they're not violent when he calls them that. And then the comments just say, this guy is mean. But when people react negatively and violently to the degree that we saw today where the guy attacked him, well, then you're kind of proving the point. Not only that, but you're not helping the matter. To discharge somebody like this and make what he's doing ineffective, if that's your goal, you have to have a non-reaction. And that takes extreme emotional control. Not hard for me, but I guess it's harder for others. So, I mean, look, I get it. I get it. He's provocative. And, you know, there's also something to be said. I'm having a long monologue here, but this is an interesting conversation, and I think it's worth talking about. There is also something to be said about the fact that if you go around provoking people, at some point, it's completely illogical to not expect any sort of retaliation. We don't live in a fantasy land where everybody honors freedom of speech and expression. And so, yeah, you might get away with calling some black people the N-word and provoking others and playing with others. But ultimately, after a long enough time scale, if you keep doing it repetitively, somebody is going to respond unfavorably. And that's with anything. Really, that's with anything. Whether you're talking about politics, whether you're talking about race, whether you're talking about anything else or any other segment, any other category of conversation, anything that's controversial, you will get an unfavorable response that may be met with some sort of element of physical retaliation. So to speak to kind of the other side of things, I'm sure Chud saw this coming. And to me, again, this is why I said I'm not a fan of this. It's silly because you're just kind of cruising for a bruising and you're waiting for a bad day. You're actually inviting a bad day by going up to people and calling them a very offensive or derogatory word. And, it's not nice, and I'm a nice person. I think that I'm a very kind-hearted person. I would never go up to anybody and hurl a derogatory term at them. I don't really see how that's effective. That's not how I like to message my ideas. That's not how I like to communicate my ideas to people. And I think most people can agree with that. So, it's one of those situations that has a lot of angles to it, but ultimately attacking somebody for calling you any word is stupid. And I think that's like a bare minimum ask when it comes to common sense. Let's see. I had a couple chats come in, so we'll read these before we get into all the good stuff. Sogno Sprite says, Riyadh, I hope you're having a good day so far. Are you going to react to Trump basically saying F America's financial situation? Yes, I have that clip saved. And it's crazy. We'll talk about it. Thank you, Sognos. Boylehead & Co. says, Riyadh, I think you guys are missing the point. It's a simple fact that he is intentionally provoking to get a reaction, not a simple word issue. I mean, no, I spoke to that. Excuse me. Diet Coke. I spoke to that. I kind of answered that. I don't think I'm missing the point at all. I highlight the fact that he's intentionally provoking people, and I don't think that's a good idea. That's not something I would do. That's not something I advocate for. However, if somebody is simply opening their mouth, merely opening their mouth, and they're not threatening you or inviting themselves to a violent attack upon you, then it really makes no sense. And I think it's completely illogical to start wailing on them. I don't care what they say. And again, if we care about the progression and not the regression of black people in America, we cannot respond unfavorably to mere words. It doesn't matter what the word is. We have to get over that. It's got to be something we get over. I'm not saying you can't respond unfavorably. I'm saying you can't respond violently. Rather, I should reword that. You can't respond violently. You cannot meet speech with violence. At the end of the day, you can't. And maybe we've been guilty of it, and sometimes our emotions get the best control of us. That's fine, and that happens. We're human. However, it's stupid. It's not smart. And Tennessee is a stand your ground state, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not too privy to the laws there, but I'm almost positive it's stand your ground. And so there's a very good chance if this Chud guy gets a good lawyer, this will be ruled as self-defense. And of course, I'm sure all factors will be taken into an account. The judge will probably realize that this guy is provocative. He has an online personality. This is what he does. He's inviting this behavior in some sense, I suppose. However, there's a very good chance he'll walk away and have charges dropped. It might take some time. It might be a long-winded case. But, it's because at the end of the day, it seems as if, though, from these articles and the videos that I see, the black individual who was called, I guess, the N-word, that's the only thing that I could imagine provides or provokes this response, attacked him first. And if somebody attacks you first in a stand your ground state, you don't have a duty to retreat. And if they're attacking you to the point where you are in fear for your life, you can technically use lethal force. Now, there's so much nuance and it's convoluted in many situations. It's not just like a cookie cutter, one size fits all, unless you're like in Texas or something. I think their laws are really, really loose. However, it's likely going to be ruled in self-defense. We'll talk to my brother in a moment and we'll see his take on it. But, I get it. I get you that you disagree. I highlight the fact that he's provoking people, but just because somebody provokes you does not warrant you to be violent. You shouldn't. You actually should stray farther from violence when somebody attempts to provoke you because you will make them look dumb. It's not a difficult thing to comprehend. And anybody who's smart, I'm not calling you dumb, a boilhead, but really think, if you're smart, you would agree with me. Really, use your head. Violence is never the answer, no matter what someone says to you. And even if somebody comes up to you and says something disrespectful about your race or, your mother and whatever, I'm not going to feel bad for the guy that got attacked as much because he's asking for it in a way, but I'm also not going to advocate for violence senselessly, especially when it further regresses people that are known for those actions. I want us to steer in the other direction. I want a 180. So, Mr. Ferdinand, W. Riyadh, $2. Thank you, bro. I appreciate it. Massad's honeypot operation. Our people are easily provoked defiantly. Oh, I think you meant definitely. Needs to change, but bro, why is it so important for whites to constantly disrespect us? Weird behavior. I mean, but look, that's just not the case across the board. Thank you, Massad, for the super chat. That's just not the case across the board. I mean, yeah, maybe Chud the Builder is disrespectful to black people, but in regards to my day-to-day experience, I don't get bothered by white people. And that's because I don't really I just stay in my own lane. I mind my business. Have I been racially profiled before? Yeah, but I just really don't care. Nigga, I have my job. I get money. I'm not worried about what a white person may or may not think about me. And this is going to sound really conceited and cocky, but I know that I'm a smart, capable individual. So I never feel like I'm lesser or inferior because of the fact that somebody has this racial superiority complex just because I'm dark. You get what I'm saying? I don't know if that makes sense. So I hear you. There are a lot of white people who think it's okay to be disrespectful. Again, I condemn disrespect across the board. I don't like that behavior of being provocative and being disrespectful. I think it's too punchy. I think it's too pokey. I don't think it has longevity on social media. We saw people like Boot Gang, people who do the stunt, the shock value entertainment. They don't last long. And so that speaks to the fact that it's not actually organic and it doesn't actually get anywhere. And it's not a long-term value. However, at the same time, I don't think that whites constantly disrespect blacks. I don't think that's true. If you're a black person and you're on your shit, you're on your P's and Q's, I don't see how you would get disrespected by any white people. You're in your lane, you have your black friends or whatever. I don't see that. It's actually the case, and you're not going to like this maybe. Whites are cucked for the most part. A lot of whites support DEI. A lot of whites don't acknowledge the fact that their birth rate is in the toilet. A lot of whites are pro-black. A lot of whites pop their fist up promptly and proudly during the 2020 BLM riots. A lot of white people are actually very libertarian, very left-leaning. Even if they're conservative, they're softer conservatives. I know there were some clips of Chud the Builder walking down these strips where all these bars are, and these older, obvious conservative gentlemen would still be angered at the fact that he's saying the N-word. So even though these guys are leaning on the right, they still don't support being that far right, or I don't even know if that's far right, just being extreme and provocative. So I don't think that that's a thing universally. I've never been called the N-word. However, I carry myself cleanly and I behave myself. Maybe if I was a little bit crazier or rambunctious as a young teen, then I would have ran into that instance. But, I would never react negatively. I would laugh in a white person's face if they called me an N-word. Because I likely am smarter than you and better than you at everything. So it's just funny that you would say that. And at the end of the day, a word is a word. I will never let a word make me lose control. And I'm going to sit in a jail cell for a night because somebody called me a word. Maybe I'll say a word back. Maybe I'll have an exchange. Maybe I will intellectually dismantle them, but I'm not going to put my hands up and box them. Or maybe I'll invite them to a boxing gym and have a session where we have a legal controlled fight. That's different. But to just box their shit up on the spot, it's silly. It's silly. You know what I mean? Golden Beauty says, your looks are going for you. Do you get lots of attention? Hey, who's this? You think so? Thank you so much. I'm growing the hair out a little bit. You guys like it? I'm growing the hair out a little bit, so let me know what you think. Getting a little fro on him. Little curly Sudanese hair. I did a DNA test. I'm 95% Sudanese. Purebred. 95% Sudanese. Other 4% was Arab and some European and shit. That's negligible. Doesn't count. But thank you. I appreciate that. Is that a girl? What you trying to do? Okay. Boylehead and Co. I agree in some aspects. I wouldn't respond with violence. It's like if a doctor stitched a gash in your arm and he comes along and starts punching you. What the fuck? Some people aren't just going to leave. Yeah, and that's I'm saying. I'm sure Chud expected this. So I guess he got what he asked for. Tons of legal trouble and potentially almost killing somebody. Yeah, it's not a good idea. It's not a good idea. If I know there's a term that's not favorable to a group of people, that doesn't mean I won't use it. I just won't use it violently against them in their face. I think that would warrant danger. So I would steer away from that. You get what I'm saying? But some people are provocative. They live for that. So to each their own, I suppose. I guess it's a prerogative. I saw academics and Sneeko talk about it. I see you guys talking about this in the chat. But, Ack was really tweaking. Ack was tweaking. I get it. He's charged up, but I saw some clips. I didn't get to watch it. I think me and Myron will react to it together for you guys. I think that'll be interesting. And I think Myron agrees with me for the large part. Obviously, my brother is really extreme in his delivery. just bear in mind I've got to be very sensible and careful about how I speak about these things because of the position that I'm in my life. However, you know, I'm pretty much giving you guys the brunt of my opinion to almost the fullest degree here. Masad Honeypot says, W. Rad, I appreciate your opinion, bro. Yeah, of course, of course. Hey, if you want to have dialogue, if you disagree, you can tell me why you disagree. With a super chat, of course. I'm kidding. You can tell me why you disagree. I don't care. Now, if you're completely illogical or unreasonable, maybe I'll just shadow realm you if you're arguing in bad faith and crying. But, you know, it's true, bro. And I think more often than not, black people agree with me. That's the case. That's the facts. Anyways, all right, let's get into the article. So this here says, controversial influencer, Chud the Builder, shoots man during confrontation outside Tennessee courthouse. Outside a courthouse is crazy. They're starting where they're about to finish. All right, so let me take a sip of this. I'm sorry. This says, controversial live streamer known for spewing racial slurs on camera allegedly shot a man during a chaotic confrontation outside a Tennessee courthouse on Wednesday afternoon. Montgomery County District Attorney General Robert Nash said that Dalton Etherly, or Etherly, I don't know how you pronounce it, better known as Chud the Builder online, opened fire during a dispute near a courthouse at around 1:15 p.m. local time, Clarksville now reported. The victim was medically evacuated by life flight and is in stable condition, according to a news release from the Montgomery County Sheriff's Office, which is good. And continues on to read, Etherly said the man threatened to hit him if he started boasting the racist ideologies that are a hallmark of his channel. He hit me. He started wailing on me. Even after I had to defend myself by shooting him, he's still wailing on me, Etherly recounted to emergency responders on his live stream. Then Etherly bizarrely tried to pin blame on rich people, goading strangers into harming him. And we'll listen to the recording right now. I didn't really listen to it too much. They're all publicly saying, if y'all assault this guy, we'll make you rich. The fuck, he said. I wish he had just walked away, man, he added. Etherly was detained at the scene and is in stable condition at a local hospital, the sheriff's office said. Etherly was supposed to appear on court on Wednesday afternoon for a civil case where he's being sued by a debt and credit card collector, according to court documents obtained by Clarksville Now. The self-described free speech patriot was arrested last Friday for allegedly harassing strangers at an upscale steakhouse in Nashville. Yeah, I saw that clip. And so on and so forth. Obviously, this article doesn't like him. But we'll look at some clips here, and I'll show you guys what this guy does. And look, again, like I said, it is provocative. It is provocative. I've got to be careful here because I think the N-word is loosely hurled. So you can understand we're on a platform that may not call for that. I might get taken down. So just got to be a little careful. I guess we'll get into the meat and potatoes, though. Let's see the actual video after he apparently shot this man. So here's the audio. Okay. I think he's saying people motivated the black person to attack him. I don't know. I don't even know what he means here. Oh, sorry. Muted. I caught that before you guys even started spamming. Okay.
Dude, this is what happens when people are rich people are saying you'll get rich if you hit this guy. They're all publicly saying if y'all assault this guy, we'll make you rich. What the fuck?
You got a pair of shears on you?
I don't.
I'll cut this sleeve off.
All right, I'll get one. Yeah, we'll try that.
Well, I tell you, give me a pair of clothing shears. Okay, see if they got a pair in their bag over there.
So I just want to get to the part. He starts talking to paramedics. And by the way, guys, off topic, I guess, but this is relevant. If you ever are involved in any situation similar to this where, I don't know, you defend yourself or something happened, never, ever talk to the police or the paramedics about the details of the situation. Ever. That is by far the dumbest thing you could ever do. You don't know what can be used against you in the court of law. You don't know. And police are very good at exposing questions without it seeming that way. That's what they're like trained to do. Be very careful, okay? If you're ever in this kind of situation, you just say, I was in fear for my life, and you'll speak to my attorney. Maybe you shouldn't even say I was in fear for my life. You just say, you guys were here for my attorney. I wouldn't even give any detail as to what, like, not for this situation. I'm just saying anything that's relevant. Never, ever, ever, ever speak to the authorities. Police come to your door. They're asking you questions about something that happened at a bar a few weeks ago. They're asking you questions about some situation that you may or may not have been involved in, loosely involved in, closely involved in. You say, I'll take your card. You'll hear from my lawyer. Because if you don't have any grounds to detain me right now, and even if you do, I'm not going to talk. People land themselves, and my brother will say this because he was former HSI, and he'll tell you guys this. People land themselves in the worst situations by over-speaking with authorities. And I get it. Adrenaline's pumping. You think you're right. You don't think you're saying anything self-incriminating. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Excuse my language. Sorry, Mom. You don't know what the hell you're talking about. Be very careful. Be very careful with what you're telling authorities in any situation that you may be involved in. You never know what happens. You never know. You're at the bar with your buddies. You're at some event. Somebody bumps somebody's shoulder. Things get violent. 10 minutes later, you're in front of like 4 cops hammering you with questions, pressing you, harassing you with questions. You don't answer anything. You don't answer anything. You can vaguely mention, like, I wasn't involved in anything. I did nothing. But don't talk to police. Do not talk to police. Even when I'm pulled over, the cop asks, why were you pulled over? Do you know why I pulled you over? I'm like, nope, don't know. Here's my license. Here's my insurance. Here's my registration. Hands on the steering wheel. Overhead light is on. I let them know if I'm armed, even though I don't have to. I let them know for good courtesy, common courtesy. However, I'm not going to admit to speeding or like hooking a corner or rolling a stop sign. I'm not admitting to that. Don't admit anything to the police, okay? I'm not like anti-police, but don't be stupid. Like, don't be dumb. Respect authority, but don't make yourself subject to authority and being abused by the system. Even if you did something wrong, fight for yourself a little bit, you know? People are so quick to just start spilling the beans. I see all these police videos. I watch like these dash cam videos, police, live PD, all this stuff. People just start singing. Well, he said, and I said, and she said, and and you just talk yourself into a fucking felony. Excuse my language. You just talked yourself into a felony. Easy. Especially like these domestic situations, people just snitch on themselves. So anyways, I don't want to derail, but like really, there's something to mention.
I'm gonna cut the rest of your coat here and take the sleeve off of it. So
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Alrighty.
Mr. Trailer?
Hey.
I can walk, sir.
Sorry, sir. We'll get you.
So he's got a graze right there. Looks like comes in and goes out right there.
It's cutting the circulation
Yeah.
off.
Yeah, that's
they
what the
tourniquet on
tourniquet
there.
so the bleed down.
Joe, here you go, buddy.
It's controlled right now.
So I guess these are the
I
EMTs
don't know what it was before.
rendering some aid because he grazed himself with a bullet, apparently. But there's a clip where he is talking to police, I believe. So let's look at these. This is him. And actually, I think this is the audio.
They're laughing.
So Chud approached the man, yelling at him. Argument ensued. Man hit Chud. Chud shot him all on tape. Stand your ground. Probability unlikely. I think it could be likely. I don't know. I'm not a legal expert, so we'll really have to pick Myron's brain on this. But let's see.
I walked up to them because they're pointing at me. They're laughing. They're pointing at me, and I said, "What's up, guys? How y'all doing?" I said, "Y'all like the new suit?" He said, "Walk away from me." I walked away from him. He came back up to me. He literally said, "I have PTSD. I feel like I'm in." He said, "You start saying all that chimp out shit to me, I'm gonna hit you." He hit me. Started wailing on me even after I had to defend myself by shooting him. He's still wailing on me.
Where's your weapon at?
They have everything.
What weapon is that right there? I believe that's it.
So again, so dumb. Never speak to the police. And let's be real. Let's be real. I don't know what happened. Okay, I'm just guessing. Okay, I'm playing the guessing game based on all the clips that I've seen these last few days or weeks at this point. He probably went up to him and he said something about chimping out, and the black guy lost his mind. That's probably what happened. So he probably did provoke him. Now, could he have been attacked unprovokingly? Yeah, maybe because of who he is. But I would like to estimate there was some provocation involved. I would like to say that he probably said something pushy to him. So I had put something in the chat here, and I usually don't respond to these things. But someone says, I'm familiar with how northern Sudanese Arabs treat the southern black Sudanese. It's a lot of superiority complex, so I'm not surprised by Riyad and Myron taking Chud's side on this. Who said, maybe you weren't here the last 15 minutes. I did not free him of any blame. Matter of fact, I said, this is what provoking a group of people will likely do to you over a long enough time, especially when you're viral online. So I'm not taking anybody's side. I'm just telling you guys what happened. I've said previously on streams, if you watch here, maybe you're new here, I've said I actually don't like the provocation, but I also don't like that blacks are so easily provoked. So there's 2 issues here. And I'm not trying to straddle the line. Stop being stupid as black people and reacting like a dumbass when somebody says a word. But at the same time, if you're the one hurling the word, don't expect nothing to happen to you, even if it's illegal. You're provoking people. First Amendment this, First Amendment that. Yeah, totally, I agree, but you can't expect everybody to respect that. So I don't know what you're talking about, superiority complex. I've said I'm black multiple times, and this is what I'm saying. This is an example. You're not black. You're black. You're Arab. You're not. You sound mad because of something. Is something bothering you? Does it bother you that my language is Arabic? Linguistically, we're Arab. Does something bother you about that? It seems like you are projecting. I never spewed Arab superiority complex. I never said, oh, I'm Arab, they're black, they're monkeys. Never said that. So, sounds silly. But again, it's like projection. Maybe you feel inferior to me. Not sure why. Both human. Maybe it's because I'm smarter than you. So, grow a brain. I usually don't interact with silly chats, but I have seen that sentiment before, so I will respond to it once and once only. I'll probably respond again, let's be real. And it's to say that, Northern Sudanese people, and this is something, all right, now we're going to get race. Northern Sudanese people, got lint on my head. Northern Sudanese people always have these crazy mass, objections thrown at them from other, and I'm not saying it's other black people. This is a thing. Any Sudanese people can agree with, or any Sudanese person can agree with me here. You're a Northern Sudani from Khartoum or anywhere outside of Khartoum, especially further north, and South Sudanese people and other Africans go, oh, they think they're better. They're not the real blacks. They're Arabs. And it's like, what are you guys mad for? Who poked the bear? Who pressed the button? Why are you slandering us? Sudan is sub-Saharan Africa. It's not North Africa, by the way. Technically, it's not. It's sub-Saharan. So it is actually black. I get it. It's right on the Nile. It's on the cusp, but it's black. So I don't know where the anger stems. It's like people are mad. It's like people are jealous. We never said anything to you. I've had that hurled at me multiple times in my life. You're Sudanese. You're not black. You're not a foundationally black American. You don't have ancestors that were slaves. You have no heritage here. Yeah, that's true, but I'm still black. Got no brain there. So, anyways.
Is that yours?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's talking to them right now.
Oh no, you guys are good to do your thing.
Okay. Check
He
it out.
he has a graze. I call it a graze to the left left arm. He has slight abrasion right here on his head.
Okay.
Maybe some scrapes. Lightheaded.
I walked up to him because they were.
Yeah, so that's that. Let's see. Excuse me. And then this is the guy that was shot, but I don't know if this is true. This is him in the stretcher, but allegedly he's in stable condition, which is good to hear. So, unfortunate turn of events across the board, but this is kind of bound to happen. This was something waiting to explode in his face. Pause. Ayo. So, no surprise here. I really wasn't surprised when I saw this headline. And stuff like this definitely motivates violence. There's no doubt. Whether I agree with it or not, or the response, you can't be surprised. Again, you're playing this stupid game. You're going to win a stupid prize. You got to be careful with this kind of stuff. And it's stuff like this. This is very, you can't tell me this isn't provocative.
What the fuck? Hey, is this black guy bothering you?
Bro, that's it's, all right, you guys are going to get mad at it. It is a little funny, but that's just provocative, and that's not nice. So people respond unfavorably and attack you. You can't be surprised when that happens. You simply can't be. And I got another video here. I just literally can't react to these clips because the N-word is hurled 100 million times, 6 million times. They're saying hard R, hard R, hard R. But yeah, I mean, stuff like that's just mean. Stuff like that is crazy. And, over a long enough period of doing those kinds of things, somebody's likely going to attack you. So, and then the Fear Buck obviously posted it. That's how big of a story this was. Chud the Builder shot a man who attacked him outside a courthouse in Clarksville and accidentally grazed himself in the process. Before it escalated, he asked the man if he was going to chimp out. The man then walked up and sucker punched him. Okay, so okay, he did provoke him. So he maybe lied to the police, because from what he said in the audio recording, he just walked away, allegedly. Now, could that be the case? Yeah, but I don't know, because I don't see any clips from the stream itself. We'll see what develops as time goes on, but he's definitely going to deal with some sort of long-winded court case. He's going to get tried for something, no doubt. He's not going to just walk away from this. It's silly behavior, you know. I'm telling you, it's silly behavior. So it is what it is. But this is like, you know, people get so into this. I always just say, like, this is silly stuff. This is kind of like lower IQ stuff, but whatever. And then Sneeko and academics
Okay, if
went
you
at
say
it.
word has no meaning, say word.
This was crazy. And like, this is what I'm saying, bro. Like, the equivocation, the attempted equivocation here, I'll play it for you. I'll play it for you. So I'm blocking Sneeko. Let me put myself up here for you guys. Let me.
Individual word.
Okay, if you say word has no meaning, say fuck Allah.
I'm pretty sure Sneeko is arguing from my perspective. He's saying it's just a word.
To this individual word.
Okay, if you say word has no meaning, say fuck Allah right now.
Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying I'm asking you to say it, because it should have no meaning, right? There's a fucking meaning to it, right?
Okay.
All right, bro.
Haram.
So, guy walks around city. Guy calls people offensive word. No doubt, it's an offensive word. And you go, and we don't have to say Allah. We can say God, Jesus, Hashem, whatever. You equivocate that to saying F, the creator of everything. I'd agree there. But then to say that what we're trying to detract from is, oh, black people should not react violently, and that will actually ensure he has no content to publish, because his content is contingent upon the violent reaction of black people, which they give him. So they add fuel to his already enlarged fire. So we say black shouldn't react because it is, at the end of the day, just a word. And then you conflate and equivocate that with insulting. By the way, I don't think Ak is an atheist. And look, this is where moral objectivity comes in. I'm not an atheist. And then you say, oh, so I can just say F God. And look, if somebody comes up to me and they say F God, I certainly won't attack them, but I'll go, yeah, that's nasty, and something's really wrong with you. You're deranged. That's what I'd say. But again, what Sneeko is saying is a word should not necessitate violence unless it's a threat. Then that's where things get a little bit more vague. Hey, I'm going to beat the shit out of you. Hey, I'm going to kill you. Hey, I'm about to punch you right now. I'm about to rock you. I'm about to trip you. I'm about to whatever. That's different. But if somebody just says, you're a you-know-what, or F God, or anything like this, well, then in that case, yeah, you can respond unfavorably and contest them intellectually and have verbal discourse, but again, still doesn't necessitate violence. So I don't even know why and again, it's like the emotions get drawn in too far, and it's like, bro, you're missing the point. And that's just like a ridiculous equivocation. But we'll keep watching. We'll keep watching. I had to stop there. But, you know, everybody's talking about it.
Clearly, but you wouldn't say that, right?
Because
there's
actually, do you not see the point that you're making? How are you equating God?
Words have meaning, brother.
How are you equating God, disrespecting God, the Almighty, something that we have faith in, to something that only has meaning if we attribute meaning to it? God has meaning without us. This hard R word, listen, this word only has the meaning that you give to it. Allah exists without us.
What you just told me, you can't disrespect God. Okay, get it, and I agree. But you can disrespect an entire group of people, and your solution to that is...
But God is greater than an entire group of people, you know? God is greater than I. God is greater than black people, white people, Hispanic people. God is greater than tribalism, racial supremacy. You know, God is greater than everything, because God is above everything and God created everything. So to say F God is like, now you're taking things to an extreme level that you would have never stooped to prior had it not been for you being emotionally charged up over a word that you unfortunately react violent to that others wouldn't. Not saying that's Ak, but that's a lot of people. So again, it's like the conflation here is nuts. And look, and this is how you know I'm a free speech absolutist. He can say that. Let him say that. To me, in my mind, you know, he's got to deal with that if he ever stands before God. So, you know, I hope he detracts from that statement. It's a crazy statement. However, ultimately, you know, it's just really like a very far extended reach to me. And it highlights that he's like really emotionally invested into this. And yeah, But look, I'll say this, and people really don't know my positions on these kinds of things. You can never blame somebody. I think there is admirability. I really think it's relatively honorable to have pride in your people, to have the sense of tribalism, the sense of belonging. Like, these are my people. I do admire that. I respect that. Whether it's somebody who's white, Hispanic, white, Hispanic, black, Asian. If you're very proud of your race and you're very on that, I can't help but respect it, because that's you. That's your people. At the end of the day, your people are going to be the people that have you. Your people are going to be the people that have your back. You look like them. You speak like them. You act like them. So to some degree, I understand why Ak is emotional, because these are his people. And I'd like to think they're my people as well, but I'm excommunicated because I'm sensible and I'm not reacting violently, by the way. I'm excommunicated from the community in some vague way because I'm not charged up screaming on the mic. I'm sorry. I don't really ever scream here. So, it's one of those things, but there is something admirable about it. So you can't get so mad at people who, now saying F God is crazy, but just ignoring that for a moment and stepping over it. Ultimately, he's just mad because he feels as if though his people are being disrespected. I kind of sympathize with that. I get you. I hear you. So go hard, Us humans are comprised into several different tribes and races and ethnicities and all that good stuff. And you will always be closer to those that kind of look and talk and think like you than those who don't, usually. So you can't get mad at people for this way of thinking and stuff. There is some sort of honorability to it. Am I crazy tribalistic person? Not really. I kind of take religion over that. I think that, we all stand before God. We're the same person at the end of the day. Black, white, orange. Not to do like the whole cliche thing there, but that's just the truth. But I love my people. I love Sudanese people. And really, like, my sense of identity falls with, of course, Sudanese people, but Muslim people. Whether you're Paki, whether you're Arab, whether you are Russian, that's like where I feel my sense of belonging, if somebody's Muslim. But then again, funny enough, a lot of my closest friends are Christian. So maybe I'm just not that tribalistic. I don't know. But it's there is some sense of respect. You get what I'm saying? Like, I hear you. I sympathize with it slightly.
That entire group of people should just not be offended.
That word only has to this.
We're gonna have to watch the whole thing, because this is definitely gonna be a very, very interesting conversation, to say the least. And so I want to hear it. I guess Waka Flocka reacted.
Go into like all of this, like people. We can.
Him and Jake Paul are talking about the situation. Wow, chat's real lengthy today. Everybody's got their opinions, huh? I knew this would be a touchy topic. It really shouldn't be, but it is, I guess. Okay, you guys are saying I'm being a hypocrite? Hold on. Okay, John, you seem to be the only person who's like spamming, actually complaining. So ask me to pull the chat. I already see your opinion. I'm being hypocritical. Okay, in the chatter, point is hypocritical to say words don't have meaning except word. Yeah, but didn't I just tell you guys nothing justifies violence? Nothing justifies violence. So when Ak says F God, well, then I'm mad because God matters first to me. That doesn't mean if Ak says that to me in person, I'm going to wail on him and cause him to shoot me. So what I'm trying to tell you is I have objective morality. I have a sense of belonging to my religion, which means that if somebody tries to conflate attacking a group of people with attacking the Almighty Creator, especially when you share that belief, whether it's Jesus, Buddha, God, Hashem, whatever it is, well, then that is actually objectively wrong. I think that there is an issue there. You could say it's contradictory. No, I think there's an overlap slightly. Maybe you'll notice that. But there's an overlap because I have a higher and non-conflicting interest with the belief in God. I have a higher belief in God, and I have a deeper affinity and respect to the idea of God, more than I do to the history of black people, and I would hope that's like a unanimous agreement. But in regards to somebody calling me the N-word, yeah, I won't be as offended. If somebody says you're an N-word, I won't care nearly as much versus somebody saying F God. And what Ack is trying to do is he's saying, since you're a free speech absolutist, I can say F God. Yeah, you can say that. That doesn't make it right. And what I've said previously several times is Chud the Builder can say N-word to anybody he so pleases or desires to say the N-word to. That doesn't make it right. And I've already said it's wrong because he's prompting a violent response from the people he's saying that to. So you can call it a contradiction. You guys are acting like I just bugged out and said Ack is a piece of shit. No, I'm saying Ack is trying to equivocate two things that have a different meaning in terms of how great either one is. And you could say, oh, that's all individual. That's why you're listening to me talk, because I'm an individual. And to me, God is far more important than the N-word. So not really that difficult to understand. But let's see. I guess Waka Flocka gets mad at Jake Paul. No way Jake Paul defended this, though.
And like
Jake Paul's, isn't he like centrist or like kind of left-leaning? I thought this guy was like not
we can go into
based, if you will. Let's see what he says.
we can go into like all of this. Like people are oppressed, different, races, all of this stuff, and people should be able to make fun of it. Like if I'm Jewish, bro, and people should be able to make fun of that, no matter what happened or what people went through.
Nah, people can't make fun of Jewish, Muslims, Christians, and that. Because I come from an era where you don't disrespect religion. You don't even talk about it. It's respect.
Wait, what did Jake say? I was reading chat. Hold on.
Races, all of this stuff.
Sorry.
And people should into like all of this. Like people are oppressed, different, races, all of this stuff, and people should be able to make fun of it. Like if I'm Jewish, bro, and people should be able to make fun of that, no matter what happened or what people went through.
Nah, people can't make fun of Jewish, Muslims, Christians, and that. Because I come from an era where you don't disrespect religion. You don't even talk about it. It's respect.
Yeah, so I think you're a more serious guy.
I'm not.
And
serious.
I'm a more like, let's all make fun of each other and be bros. I'm friends with blacks, whites, purples, Mexicans, all of the above, girls, boys, Indians, all of that. So I think you're like really serious.
I do too.
You're really serious. You're a serious guy, and you're like, I don't want to make fun of anybody. I'm the opposite. Like, let's all make fun of each other. Let's all roast each other. We can like.
I mean, okay, I guess. Look, Jake Paul is trying to say everybody should be able to say whatever they want, which from an American value perspective, yeah, is true. But I think the whole thing they're missing is, regardless, you can hate what somebody says. The thing is, you can't lash out on them and attack them. Like, that's where we've lost the plot. That's where now we've lost the whole beauty or like the real reasoning behind this freedom of speech. So to attack somebody for saying something, which again, I said, there's nothing someone can say to me that would make me attack them unless they threatened me and I felt in danger and there was some sort of specific set of circumstances that motivated me. But ultimately, if somebody just calls me an insult, hurls an insult, says something I don't like, unfavorable, I wouldn't respond violently. In regards to saying whatever you want, yeah, I don't think anybody's arguing that. Obviously, Waka Flocka's like, I think he's a leftist. He had disagreement with my brother on the show when he was on Fresh and Fit a few years ago, if you ever watched that. He like left mid-show because my brother was cooking the girls. Like, okay. But, I don't know, man. This like whole libertarian like, oh, we shouldn't disrespect anybody. Look, here's the thing. I'm always going to take it for my own people. If you talk crazy about my religion or people that I feel an affinity to, I'm going to fight back. But I'm not going to call on violence against you. Chud the Builder is saying these things to people, and then I think NLE Choppa like put a hit out on him. Like, this is what we're reprimanding. This is what we're trying to say is that's wrong. He comes up to you, he says something you don't like. Yeah, you can talk back. You can talk your shit. You can make fun of him, do it back, no problem, intellectually. But to call for violence on him, that's what we're saying is wrong. Ack says, F God, this God. Yeah, what are you doing? Because that's just wrong. Now, if Ack said F Asians, right, to attack Sneeko, or F Muslims, whatever, but to say F God is really like you're kind of hurting your own self-position, your own moral position for the greater good of people. And that's where tribalism seems to supersede like God and the ultimate authority. And that's where I think now you have an issue. I think that people have an objectivity issue with their moral stance, like what they find to actually be important to them. So it's important to have some semblance of respect and affinity and belonging to your people, but to allow that to become so important and you become so emotional to where you start hurling insults at God? Because I'm of the position that if you say F Allah, you're saying F God. Because that's just the Arabic translation of it. So to me, that's like him self-insulting, unless he's a self-proclaimed atheist, which I don't believe he is. So it's cringe. It's like, hey, you're really digging deep to try and prove a point. We're telling you words don't carry much weight, especially when they're used in a manner. Remember, Chud uses these words. He's not saying, he's not giving extensive slave history. He's not saying blacks have lower IQ. He may be saying these things. That's not what he's telling people on the street. He's calling them an N-word. That's like low IQ content. So this is why I've said continuously, responding to that violently is even lower IQ. You're meeting him lower than he's met you. And now you've played into the whole ploy. You fell into the trap. So I don't know. People are saying I'm contradicting myself in the chat. I don't know if you guys are like, you guys really hate what he's doing. Don't see the contradiction there, but it's fine. Again, agree to disagree. But yeah, hold on. Let me see if Myron will join us to talk about this. It'll really get crazy once he joins us. But if not, we'll go into the Iran situation, their missiles, and then Trump being in China. I have something here from the New York Times that I'll read. And I think he's, as I'm speaking to you guys, meeting with Xi Jinping right now. And yeah, I see the thing with Tulsi Gabbard. We'll talk about it a little bit, but there's not many developments for me to really get a clearer story. So I'll talk about that maybe tomorrow or Friday, because I'll try to be live every day this week. Here, give me 1 second and see what this guy is doing. Let me give him a call. Okay. Free Palestine from Zionists. I love that name. Bro, saying words has no meaning is atheistic, which is why he said what he said. Okay, no, words, of course, words have a meaning. Again, what I've been trying to express the entire time, you can get mad at what somebody says. That's completely your prerogative. But to get violent is wrong, which is the reason why we're talking about this story. The guy was attacked, and he had to shoot the guy in defense of that. So, I'm not sure what you... someone said, please talk about geopolitics. I don't care about this Chud guy when cost of basic goods are going up. Well, we're all cooked. It just cost me like $80 for a full tank. So yeah, we'll get into it. These things always get so tense. People get mad. That's fine. These are simply my opinions. And I think a lot of people do agree. And I think maybe people disagree. And that's the beauty of it. But here, I'll start with this article while we're waiting on Myron. We will go into the situation in China. That kind of will segue us into Iran, I suppose. So this is out of the New York Times. Or actually, this is a live update from CBS. Got it in dark mode, W. Because, some of these, this is blinding. So dark mode is nice. Working on trying to get all the articles in dark mode, but the extensions are glitchy. So if somebody knows a good dark mode extension that's not glitchy, let me know. Anyways, this reads, live updates. Iran says it's ready to repel new U.S. attacks with peace talks stalled as Trump arrives in China. What to know about the Iran war today? President Trump said before arriving Wednesday in China that he expected a long talk with President Xi Jinping about the Iran war. He said the U.S. doesn't need any help from Beijing in resolving the 75-day conflict that has slammed the global economy. With diplomatic efforts for a peace deal seemingly stalled, an Iranian commander says military drills in Tehran have now demonstrated the Islamic Republic's readiness to confront a potential new U.S. attack at any place and at any time. The Iran war has cost U.S. taxpayers $29 billion so far. Wow, that's just, wow. That's infuriating. Acting Pentagon Comptroller Jules Hurst told lawmakers on Tuesday Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth had put $25 billion price tag on it last month, but U.S. officials familiar with internal assessments suggested at the time the war could have already cost close to $50 billion. So really, really crazy stuff there. But here's the article in regards to China. So President Trump and China's leader Xi Jinping are expected to discuss trade, Iran, Taiwan, and other points of contention when they meet at a high-stakes summit meeting in Beijing on Thursday, which is tomorrow, or really almost like kind of right now because of the fact that they're hours ahead of us. And Trump brought alongside him a bunch of big-time CEOs and billionaires, big-time CEOs. So these are some of the notable names here. Elon Musk, Tim Cook, obviously belonging to Tesla, SpaceX, and then Tim Cook belonging to Apple. Other guys from Goldman Sachs, David Solomon. Other familiar names here that you may or may not recognize, Larry Fink, another one, BlackRock. So all of these guys are apparently with him on this trip. And here is the video of Trump arriving in China. So we got the students here waving the flags. I'll say this is a nice, a nice entrance. NHK, thanks for the super chat. Just seeing it. I hope this wasn't sitting there. Oh, okay, you just put it. Riyadh, I respect what you do. The thing with Chud is that he's saying the N-word, and while you're walking away from it, he's following you saying it. That's antagonizing. I think anybody would crash out. Yeah, I mean, in some clips, look, hey, listen. I've already said, I'm going to finalize this before you guys keep going sick on it. And I knew this would be so volatile of a topic, but it's fine because I want to be unapologetic and I never want to be audience captured. So a lot of you may disagree with me. That's really too bad. I will never sway away from my beliefs because that's what I do as an individual. I'm giving you guys content. I'm giving you guys my opinion on things. However, I can kind of see where you're coming from. Look, if there's situations where he's following somebody, calling them something, then yeah, that's antagonizing, that's provocative. But again, the violence of it is never justified. And not to attack you, but again, it seems like maybe you are involving some slight of emotion in there. And I'm saying that because you can never, ever stoop to the level of somebody who's trying to pry a reaction out of you. Because once you've done that, they've won. So I say this for two reasons. One, it's wrong. But two, it would really joy me to see Chud going up to black people and them going, hey man, not right now, and just walk away. That would really make his content lifeless. But because of him doing that with the responses he gets, he's one of the most viral people in the last few weeks. Short-lived at that, I admit, because that kind of content doesn't last you in the space. And this is what I've said. It's repetitive, but you sent a super chat and you asked me a question or you're giving your thoughts, so I want to respond respectfully to you. You're walking away, he's still saying it to you. When he uploads that online, people are going to go, this guy is a piece of shit. But when you turn around and wail your right arm at him, well, then everybody's going to go, oh, well, fire met fire, 50-50. And to me, I don't want it to be that. I want black people to be on the upper end of that situation, to have the upper hand, which means you don't respond the way he would like you to. And that's favorable, especially for the look and the optics of the situation. So I get it. I did say he's provocative. I don't disagree with that. He's provocative. But when somebody's provocative, it's even more important to not respond. That's the whole idea of provoking. It's to incite a reaction, that of which is usually violent in these kinds of situations. So not reacting is your best bet. Somebody's following you around with a camera or whatever and saying something to you. You can tell them F you. You can tell them F off. That's fine. It's not what I'm saying. I'm saying don't wail on them. That's why we're reading this article today. Don't attack them. You play right into the narrative. You play right into their hands. Granted, on the contrary, he's hurt himself because now he shot somebody. Now he's got a whole heaping pile of legal trouble ahead of him, whether he's acquitted or not. He's got a whole bunch of legal issues ahead of him. So, but anyways, we'll move on from that unless somebody else wants to keep chatting about it. But, nigga, it's a word. I gotta end on a simple note. Nigga, it's a word, bro. Nigga, you gotta be better. You walking around, somebody calls you the N-word. Who cares? Who cares? Who cares? Hey, hey, nigga. Hi, keep walking. Who cares, bro? Who cares? Now, somebody attacks you, that's different. You defend yourself. That's way different. Somebody threatens you, well, then you assess if there's a real threat there. You do what you got to do. I didn't say be a cuck and get attacked. I said don't be stupid and respond to a threat or respond to stupid words with violence. That's dumb. That's dumb. I will never step back from that position. It is a word, and I will never let it be more than a word. And when somebody says F God or what, my mom just texted me to fix my headset. Okay. When somebody says F God or anything like that. It's a word. It's a word. Okay, bye. I'm not God. You'll deal with God by saying that. I don't care. I'm just saying you can't equivocate a group of people in a word to like saying F the creator of all things when you yourself believe in God. That to me is a tell that you're letting your emotions overshadow your logic. So again, it's really not complicated, but bro, it's really a word. If you can't agree with that, I'm sorry. Maybe you shouldn't be here. Maybe you hate me. It's fine. You're more than welcome. It's a word, nigga. It's a word. Like, nigga, chill. It's a word. You can get mad. You can get mad. You can get mad. Don't tackle him. Hey, don't bug out. You know, and that's golden advice. Anybody with a brain will tell you that's golden advice. That is golden advice. Somebody calls you a word you don't like, ignore them. What happened to ignoring people? What happened to ignoring people? There's a clip of this guy going up to here. You know what? Well, this is my last thing because I'm really trying to make the point. You know, people don't get it. Here's the thing. I saw a clip earlier of him going up to some guy, calling him the word, and he just laughed. And all the comments were like, yo, what is wrong with Chud? Proving my point real time. Look.
Little white kid came up and stole my fucking hat. God damn, you tall as shit. What's your name? What? Habib? Are you Muslim? Yeah. You know why black guys are so tall? They're Negroes. They didn't get it online the other night.
It's obviously he's trying to make a joke, but that's provocative, right? What if this guy lashed out, right? But look, smiles.
That's pretty good. Hey, y'all, I'm glad y'all good sports about shit. Thanks for not chipping out on me.
And then it's like he got nothing out of that. And now he looks like the loser, right? Like he just does that. And look, all of these comments that have the most likes are the ones attacking him. Bro's not even racist. I think he has a gay fetish for black men. 2K likes. You get what I'm saying? Like, look, I'm not black, but he's going to get fucked. This is the definition of fuck around and find out. Like, again, unfavorable response. It doesn't look as cool when you just ignore him. So, like, and again, if that was done to me, I'll just be like, okay, like, this is low IQ slop. This is low IQ bait. Have a good day. You know what I mean? And that's all you need to do. It's a word. You really got to remember it's a word. Lord have mercy, man. Lord have mercy. Should not be this long-winded of an explanation. I get it. Some of you guys have an affinity and you guys are tribalistic. God bless you. Because I said I do respect that. You know, I never get mad at a black person for defending blacks. You're black. Okay? And I'm black. But I think defending blacks means telling them, hey, don't fall for the bait. I think I'm doing a service to the black community. Let's not fall for the bait. We have to be better. We have to be better. You know? And I've said this numerous times. If you've been watching, I reacted to the Daytona Beach shooting, or what was it? Some spring break shooting. I forgot what it was. A bunch of black people were there. And I was saying when black people congregate, there's always violence. We got to be better. Like, I'm trying to really, like, I'm not doing the whole, like, joke thing. I'm, like, addressing this from an angle of logic and repair. I want to remedy the issue. I really want to remedy the issue. So, Lord have mercy. Lotus says, don't let words affect you, W. Riyadh. Hey, thanks, man. I appreciate it. Nazarene of the Way says, as a black person descended from slaves of the U.S., like Riyadh said, I think it's unwise and acting as if it's a surprise trouble finds you. Shows a lack of accountability. Black people call the cops if harassed. Don't break the law. Yeah. And the biggest thing, thanks for the super chat, the biggest thing is you'll look like the winner. And to me, that's what it is in life. It's winning and losing. It's winning and losing. You're either, there you go, mama. My headset's on. It's winning and losing. You want to come out of every situation looking like you won or you were the more mature, stable person. And in the end, the winners get to last. They tell the story. So it's about winning and losing. You want to win these kinds of confrontations. You want to win these situations, these clips. You want to look like the person who's more mature, who has a more stable head on their shoulders. Then you do not react to the bait that is existing there for you to react. We're done. We're done with that. But must be said. It's a word. We gotta lock in. We must stay focused, brothers. We must stay focused. So let's get to where they start walking, yeah? Shall we? So Chinese officials on either end. I think some of these CEOs are behind Trump. I don't know. But, yeah. That's Trump arriving in China. And this is from, I believe earlier this morning, if I'm not mistaken, at 8:12 a.m. Eastern time. And he makes it into his presidential vehicle. And the White House actually dropped an edit on X. Pretty hard. I'll give credit where it's due. I've been attacking MAGA for like the last God knows how many days. Good edit. Really good job on the camera work. That's a great shot right there. That's a great shot. It's so painful because, I'll get into the article. Trump has aura. Trump is relatively kind of cool. He's funny, he's witty, he has that shock value, but then he just does dumb things, and he says even dumber things on Truth Social, especially during this war. So it's unfortunate, but we'll see what comes out of these talks. In regards to the agenda, again, I think the main things that are going to be spoken about is Taiwan, Iran. I don't know how much weight of the conversation tariffs will take up, but I think it's going to be a lot of Taiwan, supplying weapons, Iran. I'm sure China is going to ask as one of the first things for them to end the war in Iran, pull out of the Strait of Hormuz. So let's see where that goes. Obviously, Trump has some financial interest there because the CEO of BlackRock, Goldman, MasterCard, all these big tech guys, these big CEOs of these major companies like Apple and Tesla are allegedly there with him. So if they're accompanying him on this trip, I'm imagining he's trying to get some sort of financial gain out of this. So we'll see where that goes. But, for the last God knows how many days, I have been telling everybody on X and on YouTube, where we are now, that Pete Hegseth, and we're going to watch the video of him getting absolutely smoked, but Pete Hegseth, because he spoke yesterday, and Donald Trump and Marco Rubio, really Pete Hegseth being the Secretary of War, it's his main job out of the Pentagon to give us intelligence updates, to give us the updates as to what's happening on the ground in Iran. And he has been saying continuously that Iran has no nuclear capability or really no missile capability. That's what he's really been harping on. And he's saying we've destroyed 75% of their launchers. Their mobile launch pads are no longer operational. They are a weak military. They are scarce in power. And so we can get what we want when we want. We're not worried about them militarily anymore. We've almost won that front. We won that side of the war. Now, pay attention to this, and this is going to give you guys a little bit more insight as to how to understand these things. Not that I'm some expert, but this was what I've been saying, and I'm kind of indicated by this article, but regardless, Iran has been making somewhat maximalist demands since the beginning of the peace talks, or really the ceasefire started. On April 7th, the war stopped, and we entered this period of a ceasefire. J.D. Vance went over to Islamabad to try and attempt to fix something in regards to the war, try to get us to a point where we can come up with a peace deal or at least make the first step of it. And, of course, to no surprise, he comes back to the United States, and from Washington, he tells everybody we were there for 24, 48 hours, whatever it was, we failed. Him and the Middle Eastern envoy were not able to achieve any of the goals that the United States had set out in regards to a long-term peace plan, or at least a ceasefire that had some sort of stipulation that could allow for a peace plan later. And that's because Iran is really making demands that are equal with the United States in regards to maximalist. The United States is saying, we must seize all your nuclear program. We want the centrifuges. We want you to come above ground. We don't want you to do anything underground anymore. We want you to bring the 60% down to 3%. We want you to downblend. We want to even relocate the uranium. The United States is making these crazy maximalist demands. And we started this war in the pretext of no nuclear weapons. Iran can't have a nuke. The world will be a disaster when Iran has a nuke. Now, I've talked about this ad nauseum, but I'm just framing the situation for you. On the other side of the world, Iran is saying, we'll have a peace plan. They've weaponized the Strait of Hormuz, so they're not in much desperation. They're tolling these ships, making money. Who knows what they're doing with China? There's been other trade routes open through Pakistan, and so they're figuring out ways to circumvent the matter and repair themselves or remedy themselves as the United States tries to deal this economic battle towards them by blocking their blockade, blocking their naval ports. However, why, if Iran was destroyed militarily, if Iran had no missiles left, if Iran had no ability to fight back, then why would they continue making these demands? Wouldn't it be the case that they would just kind of concede? They'd come to this concession and they'd meet the United States in the middle, or they'd even meet them farther than the United States is coming to them and saying, look, we just want peace. We'll give you this. We'll give you that. Don't attack anymore. We are on the brink of extinction. And that's because Iran faces an existential threat. That being, the United States wants to eradicate their existence. The United States wants to change the regime, which means anybody who has any sort of control in Iran will no longer have that power, and that usually means they're going to have to die. They're going to have to kill them, they're going to have to take out the leadership, or they're going to have to back some group to take out the leadership for them, like we've done in the Middle East for the last 20 years. By the way, Iran is privy to that. But the whole time we've been seeing the ceasefire situation and the fact that it's been stalemated, it's been in limbo, we haven't been able to really do anything in regards to reaching some sort of peace plan, despite what Trump says on Truth Social to keep the market stable. And that's why he says these things on Truth Social, just to keep the market stable. Iran has been saying on their side, we're not moving. You better give us what we're asking. And the things that they're asking for are somewhere along the lines of release of sanctions, reparations for the war, which means we pay for the damages we caused. They will have full control of the Strait of Hormuz without U.S. contention, and they're not willing to talk about a nuclear plan until we can have an extended ceasefire and where they can offer their 14-point proposal or something similar. And in that proposal, they are likely going to say, because we saw this previously a few weeks ago and I reported on it, they want to pause their enrichment of uranium at 60%. They don't want to bring it back. They don't want to downblend. They don't want to relocate it. They will pause it for a fixed amount of time. I think I saw 15 or 10 years in the plan. And then after that duration of time, with no attacks, well, then they'll downblend. But we'll talk about that when they get there. And the reason for that is so they can always have highly enriched uranium that is within an arm's length of being weapons grade. Once it gets from 60 to 90, then they can make a weapon out of it. Then it becomes an actual thing that other countries may have to worry about. And so what will this cause? That'll cause other countries in the region to start to race to a nuke. Saudi Arabia has already been very close to the idea of racing to a nuke. Mohammed bin Salman has told several news outlets in verified interviews now that we can watch on YouTube that if Iran is to obtain a nuclear weapon, we will likely have to get a nuke as Saudi. And so what will happen when Saudi gets a nuke? Well, then maybe other countries like Egypt are going to go, we got to get a nuke. And then it's going to be this chain effect where every country feels like they need a nuke to defend their own sovereignty or right to self-determination, whatever have you. And that's the issue with Iran obtaining a nuke. Of course, we had this answered. We had this taken care of. And I've spoke about this ad nauseum with the Iranian nuclear deal and everything else in between. But again, we knew Iran had military capability because they were not conceding to anything the United States was asking. We started the war saying, you got to give us everything. You got to give us your leadership. We're taking out the IRGC. We're taking all your missiles. No more ballistic missiles. If you want to keep them, they can only go as far as the weapon can see or the eye can see. So they're going to be nerfed to the point of no actual effectiveness. All these crazy things that we were boasting and bragging about that we would do to Iran in the beginning. We send them back to the Stone Age. We would destroy civilization. And then now we've gotten to the 70th day, 75th day of the war, whatever it is now. I'm not even counting anymore, but we're going into really like the third month. And now we're saying, please open the Strait of Hormuz. Now we've imposed a blockade to somewhat help us in relieving the global economic pressure of them closing on one of the most critical passageways in the world. The Strait of Hormuz, responsible for a fifth of the world's oil supply. LNG, all these things that Europe and then Asia also heavily depends on, and now they are facing an imminent threat of an energy crisis. So all of these things exist, and Iran is sitting there with their arms folded, and they're going, we're waiting for you to meet our demands. We're not bending, we're not breaking, we're not bending over backwards for anything you ask of us. You just try to destroy us, you failed, now you got to give us some security. And in that proposal as well, I forgot to mention, in all of these things that Iran is asking the United States to agree upon, which Trump said on Truth Social was unacceptable, one of the things were a guarantee that we would never attack them again. That can't happen. Obviously, that can't happen. So you look at everything, it's only obvious, it's only right that U.S. intelligence now shows Iran retains substantial missile capabilities. Their actions were speaking for them. No surprise there because they seem like a pretty confident regime to defy the U.S. and their maximalist demands. Usually the U.S. has the ability of just exercising brinksmanship and making a country fall on its knees to anything we ask them of, but we just got out of a 70-day war. Iran is still saying, we want sanctions relief, we want reparations, nuclear has to pause, we'll talk about it later, and if you don't beat us there, we'll continue to fight. What does that tell you? They have access to these weapons that are very damaging to the Gulf countries. So we'll read through this very quickly. The Trump administration's public portrayal of a shattered Iranian military is sharply at odds with what United States intelligence agencies are telling policymakers behind closed doors. According to classified assessments from early this month that show Iran has regained access to most of its missile sites, launchers, and underground facilities. Most alarming to some senior officials is evidence that Iran has restored operational access to 30 of 33 missile sites it maintains along the Strait of Hormuz, which could threaten American warships and oil tankers transiting the narrow waterway. People with knowledge of the assessment said they show, to varying degrees, depending on the level of damage incurred at the different sites, that the Iranians could use mobile launchers that are inside the sites to move missiles to other locations. In some cases, they can launch missiles directly from launch pads that are part of the facilities. Only 3 of the missile sites along the strait remain totally inaccessible. According to the assessments, Iran still fields about 70% of its mobile launchers across the country and has retained roughly 70% of its pre-war missile stockpile, according to the assessments. That's huge, and that's not good. I mean, really think about that. The United States, the strongest military threat, the strongest military power in the world, just went balls to the wall against Iran for 75 days, paired along with Israeli intelligence, Israeli helps, U.S.-Israeli joint strikes. We hit gas pipelines, and they still have access to all of this, which shows us the only remaining step is probably hitting their energy plants. I mean, what else are we going to do to stop them? So that's not good news for any side of the team, really, for any opposing side. That stockpile encompasses both ballistic missiles, which can target other nations in the region, and a smaller supply of cruise missiles, which can be used against shorter range targets on land or at sea. Military intelligence agencies have also reported, based on information from multiple collection streams, including satellite imagery and other surveillance technologies, that Iran has regained access to roughly 90% of its underground missile storage and launch facilities nationwide, which are now assessed to be partially or fully operational. The people with knowledge of the assessment said. The findings undercut months of public assurances from President Trump and Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, who have told Americans that the Iranian military was decimated and no longer a threat. On March 9th, 10 days into the war, Mr. Trump told CBS News, and I bet you guys will remember this, that Iran's missiles are down to a scatter and that the country had nothing left in military sense. Mr. Hegseth declared at a Pentagon news conference on April 8th that Operation Epic Fury and the joint U.S.-Israel campaign launched on February 28th had, quote, decimated Iran's military and rendered it combat ineffective for years to come, end quote. Flat out, blatant lie. The intelligence describing Iran's remaining military capacity is dated less than a month after that news conference. Asked about the intelligence assessment, a White House spokeswoman, Olivia Wales, repeated Mr. Trump's previous assertions that Iran's military had been crushed. She said that Iran's government knows that its current reality is not sustainable, and that anyone who thinks Iran has reconstituted its military is either delusional or a mouthpiece for Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. Ms. Wales pointed to a social media post from Mr. Trump on Tuesday declaring that it was a virtual treason to suggest that Iran's military was doing well. Certainly so. Joel Valdez, the acting Pentagon press secretary, responded to questions about the intelligence by criticizing news coverage of the war. It's so disgraceful that New York Times and others are acting as public relation agents for the Iranian regime in order to paint Operation Epic Fury as anything other than a historic accomplishment, he said in a statement. The new intelligence assessments suggest that Mr. Trump and his military advisors overestimated, wow, what is wrong with me? The damage that the U.S. military could inflict on Iranian missile sites and underestimated Iran's resilience and ability to bounce back. The New York Times reported last month that U.S. officials believed that Iran could regain as much as 70% of its pre-war missile arsenal. The Washington Post reported last week on U.S. intelligence showing that Iran retained about 75% of its mobile missile launchers and 70% of its pre-war missile stockpile. The findings underscored the dilemma Mr. Trump would face if the fragile month-old ceasefire in the conflict collapses and full-scale fighting resumes. The U.S. military has already depleted its stocks of many critical munitions, including Tomahawk, cruise missiles, Patriot interceptor missiles, and precision strikes and ATACMS ground-based missiles. And yet the intelligence suggests that Iran retains considerable military capability, including around the vital Strait of Hormuz. So, it goes on here. But what have we told you? So the war restarts. What does this mean? It means that the Gulf is going to have to get ready for some serious strikes, some serious blowback. And that has been the case from the beginning. So as I'm talking to you guys now, it seems that President Trump and Xi Jinping have now met and they're speaking. So I'll go ahead and play some of these clips. And Fox may be live on it, so we'll react to some of this stuff as it's coming out fresh. Give me 1 second, though. I think I had a chat. Let's see. Live now from Fox. Musty Mayo says, Salam, just showing appreciation for the content. Hey, thank you, bro. Wa alaikum salam, bro. Thank you for the 10. Appreciate you, bro. All right.
Has diverted a lot of resources and created a significant amount of uncertainty among our allies, probably in the Asia Pacific.
So this is Trump. And Xi
however,
Jinping.
in my view,
we need something like this in the U. Look at this. This is uniform. This is based. This is giving structure, command, power.
Up in the region has been,
I'm not trying to glaze,
overmatched. So, some reductions in air defense missiles or, missile interceptors, I don't think are, will majorly impact China's decision making in that respect. So, this is not something that keeps me up at night. I think there are people who are so worried about different types of missiles that we're pulling out of the region. I've said this all along, Austin, that we just have to be incredibly cautious on the matter of Taiwan, chiefly because, as we said, this is a core interest for China. They've been preparing for this fight for decades. We all hope that they will not pull the trigger, but it would be a disaster for both countries.
And we got some clips on X here that are just now appearing. So I guess this is fresh here. Okay. Oh my God, the jokes would go so hard if I didn't have to worry about a job. The jokes would go so hard if I didn't have to worry about a job. No, it's cute. It's cute. Look at the kids. They're having fun. That's so nice. It's cute. A lot of power in one video, huh? Very nice. Okay. The kids are loving it. We love the Chinese kids. Those kids were so cute.
The whole world is watching our meeting. Currently, transformation not seen in a century is accelerating across the globe, and the international situation is fluid and turbulent. The world has come to a new crossroads. Can China and the United States overcome the Thucydides trap and create a new paradigm of major country relations? Can we meet global challenges together and provide more stability for the world? Can we, in the interests of the well-being of our two peoples and the future of humanity, build a brighter future together for our bilateral relations? These are the questions.
What the fuck? Bro, what is happening? Clav is on Myron's stream? W.
Natural. And sometimes you hit a brick wall with girls. And I think now, knowing that, I should just bail on any conversation that gets awkward because it's clearly not the girl for me. Like the one girl, what's her name? Deja. She was not the one for.
What is happening?
She's really hot and everything, but the conversations just were boring. And the thing is, I'm probably like the worst person ever to date because I'm so boring. All I do is work until I stream. And I don't want the girl to come on the stream every single time. So it's like I'm literally Ladaring. All right, you got it.
No. I was going to say, I figured, I was thinking in my head while I was getting ready. I was like, wait, we could put the stream directly to yours if you guys want.
I don't give a shit.
Sure?
Clav takeover.
We probably do, but if I have a stream key, I could put his. I could plug his in right now.
All right. Anyways.
Is Fresh here?
Yeah. Yes.
All right. Well, we'll get back. We'll get back.
Switch.
Just switch it to. Let's just put both of our streams on there.
All right. So let's see what.
Yeah, we can do.
Sorry, I interrupted.
Yeah. We'll talk.
But I opened my brother's stream and I see Clav in his chair. I'm like, what the hell?
No, thanks for taking over. I appreciate it, man.
That's pretty cool. Anyways.
To history, to the world, and to the people. They are the questions of our times that you and I need to answer as leaders of major countries. This year.
Anyways, let's get back to Fox's live stream. And guys, if you're here, like the video. Let's see if Fox is doing anything juicy. If not, we'll move over to Pete Hegseth and watch his grilling session. Yeah, so that's okay. So here's some key moments from Capitol Hill. This was yesterday. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth and the chairman of Joint Chiefs of Staff, Dan Kane, faced bipartisan questioning on Capitol Hill about the war in Iran on Tuesday. Trump admin is seeking $1.5 trillion for defense in the 2027 defense budget proposal, a starting point for negotiations. Hegseth called it, admittedly, a historic budget in his opening statement. Gotta love that. Hey guys, things aren't getting cheaper, okay? I'm here to tell you, under this MAGA administration, things aren't getting cheaper. So save your money, drive less, maybe get a Costco membership, stockpile on meat. That's what I do. Pause. Things aren't getting cheaper. I mean, if you're rich, then, you know, you're rich. You're chilling. But for those of us that are tight on money or don't have all the money in the world, really be very careful with, you know, the way you're spending your money. I don't mean to be a super doomsday, contrarian, sad, patronizing, grieving, old boomer guy, but, you know, like this conspiratorial, like, hey, get 100 cans of beans and 5 AR-15s and get ready for the end of the world. But at the same time, things really aren't looking up. I don't see any off-ramp out of this Iranian war that offers Trump the position of looking like he won. Let's be honest. We all know that's the case. And if we pull out now, well, then Iran will certainly enrich higher than they are now. And that's going to actually create a problem that never existed before. And now they control the Strait. They're going to become the fourth world power behind the United States, Russia, China. It's going to be Iran after that because they're going to have a nuclear weapon and they're going to have control of a fifth of the world's oil supply. Yeah, they'll be the fourth world power. And so what does that mean for our economy? What does that mean for global oil? How will Trump compensate? And he's not even going to pull out of the war. So what's it going to mean for defense spending moving forward? So I don't predict that things will really get cheaper. I hope I'm wrong, but we haven't been wrong much around here.
Ranking member, members of the committee, thank you for the opportunity to testify in support of President Trump's historic $1.5 trillion 2027 budget for the Department of War. The President's budget request reflects the urgency of the moment, addressing both the deferred maintenance of longstanding problems as well as positioning our forces for current and future fights. I'm honored to be joined alongside the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs and Jay Hurst.
Oh, shoot. Damn.
You will complicit in the war crime of this administration.
Based Iranian.
If I may interject, I ask that we have order in the hearing room so we can proceed.
Like a fucking...
I ask the witnesses suspend until the room is cleared. It appears it's cleared.
God, for God's sake, somebody get this guy. Relieve him of his duties, bro. Relieve him of his duties. Poor guy, bro. Did you see him fall? Remember that? It's like... And then one time he was speaking to the press and he just paused like this. Remember that? Somebody relieve Senator McConnell of his duties. God.
Go ahead, Mr. Secretary.
Thank you.
Just want to Pakistan. Are you aware?
Here we go.
Reports that Pakistan are allowing their bases to be used to park Iranian aircraft. General Kane.
Sir, I've seen one report on that.
Well, is it accurate?
Sir, I think based on the variety of classification matters.
Let me just say, do you agree if it is accurate, that is sort of inconsistent with it being a peace mediator?
Sir, I wouldn't want to comment on that based on the ongoing negotiations in Pakistan's role.
Secretary Hegseth, if the mediator is allowing reconnaissance aircraft in Iran to be parked in Pakistani air bases, do you think that's consistent with being a fair mediator?
I wouldn't want to get in the middle of these negotiations. I want
well, I
maximum
do.
efficacy
I
for
want
our
to get in the
people.
middle of these negotiations. I don't trust Pakistan.
I just really quick. This is if some of you guys are confused as to why I said get this guy out of office.
I want to ask, do you support ICE taking working people off the streets and kidnapping them?
Same guy here.
To suspend.
Again, poor old man.
Do you support ICE taking working people off the streets and kidnapping them?
Bro. These are the people who have legitimate power in our legislative branch. And it's like, you know, I'm laughing because of how ridiculous it is. I actually feel horrible. You know, he shouldn't be there. And then there's another clip of him like absolutely just cognitively freezing. It's sad. You know, it's sad. Everybody knows the deal with him. Bruh.
Did you hear the question, Senator? Running for re-election in 2026? All right, I'm sorry, you all. We're going to need a minute. Senator. Benny.
You know, so just get this guy out. Do some.
Pakistan, Secretary Hexton. If the mediator is allowing reconnaissance aircraft at Iran to be parked in Pakistani air bases, do you think that's consistent with being a fair mediator?
I wouldn't want to get in the middle of these negotiations. I want maximum efficacy
I
for
want
our
to get in
people.
the middle of these negotiations. I don't trust Pakistan as far as I can throw them. If they actually do have Iranian aircraft parked in Pakistan bases to protect Iranian military assets, that tells me we should be looking maybe for somebody else to mediate. No wonder this damn thing is going nowhere. So
No, Mr. Graham, this damn thing is going nowhere because Iran is like dealing a war of attrition, but it's true to some degree. Look, I'll actually acknowledge he's not entirely wrong. I mean, in boomer U.S. interest, I suppose I'm speaking from, Pakistan is kind of to some degree favoring Iran, like in these talks. And I mean, imagine, obviously Pakistan is Muslim, Iran is Muslim, Pakistan has a nuke. They don't want to see another nuclear power come about. Pakistan is desperate for peace because they feel some of this oil shortage as well. Pakistan also knows that the United States is arguing in bad faith. The United States is asking for unrealistic demands, and Pakistan is trying to play the middleman and broker peace. And they're seeing both sides. They're seeing people that were attacked and defending themselves, and they see people that are attacking for no reason except for Israel. So, you know, Pakistan has shown some bias towards Iran. There's no doubt there. And I have seen reports, I don't know if they're verified or true, so take it with a grain of salt, that they have been kind of supporting them from the back door in regards to aircraft equipment, military equipment. Who knows if they're giving them money, all this stuff. So there's likely some truth to that.
You know, I appreciate all you've done. I'm very supportive of it. But when it comes to Pakistan and China, enough already. Thank you. Thank you. I just want to start off with saying that these military operations against Iran have been spectacular. In a matter of months, we have degraded the largest state sponsor of terrorism beyond what I thought was possible, probably more to come. Ms. Secretary, 900 pounds of 60% enriched uranium, do we all agree that's what Iran has buried?
And oil, a barrel of oil for Brent crude right now is about 106. So, not good.
Somewhere.
Mind you, we're in the middle of a ceasefire. 106. War starts back up, 120, easy.
In this format, some of that should be classified, so I wouldn't comment on the exact amount of anything.
Okay, well, it's just pretty well known. They brag about it. Is it possible they could have 60% highly enriched uranium without them cheating in the past?
We know in every context of what Iran has undertaken, they've lied and cheated.
The answer is no. Everything that Obama and Biden did was designed to keep it to a civilian nuclear program. There is no way in hell they can have 60% highly enriched uranium unless they cheat. So everything y'all did failed. And you want to criticize? You failed. You allowed Iran to be a threshold nuclear nation.
No, Iran was undergoing inspection by the IAEA. Now, yes, the visits were predicted. They knew when they would visit, but Iran followed all guidelines. The IAEA reported that Iran was compliant in all of the rules and regulations and surveillance they offered upon their nuclear program. The JCPOA full-on worked. I laugh at the neocons who go, the JCPOA, we gave Iran cash. It was their money. With the JCPOA, they were going to go back to the nukes. They were going to go. It was 3.67%. Nowhere near weapons grade. Enough to power a plant at best. And Iran agreed. We released sanctions. Yeah, that's bad for Israel, but it ain't bad for us. Who cares? Who cares? I go, hey, we released sanctions on Iran in the JCPOA. That's a good thing, and they cut back on their nuclear program. Somebody goes, but the proxies. The proxies. Nigga, the proxies have nothing to do with us. That's Israel's problem, not ours. But the proxies. I've spoke about this millions of times. I'm not going to do it again, but it's so funny when people say that. Like, in regards to why the proxies exist and the purpose they serve. And Lindsey Graham will, of course, say Islamic State-sponsored terrorism. So, the proxies. But the proxies. Shut up.
Everything you
Shut up. Do you like America or do you like Israel?
did failed. Missiles, Diego Garcia. Did they shoot missiles at Diego Garcia, General Kane?
They denied that.
The Iranians?
Yes, sir. They shot a few.
Under the protocols we had in place,
They denied it, but maybe they did.
Supposed to be.
I mean, let's be real. The war kicked off. Iran was shooting at everybody. I ain't gonna lie. The war kicked off. Bro, I saw Riyadh got hit in Saudi Arabia. I started looking outside, nigga. I thought a missile was about to hit me next. I am not gonna lie to you, okay? Nah, it's a joke. I know they don't have intercontinental missiles. It's a joke, but like really, nobody was safe. There was no red lines. Iran got hit. The supreme leader got killed, and like every country just got smoke. And no one expected it. I was in the Twitter space with Suleiman. Suleiman was like, there's reports that Iran got hit. Iran has hit Saudi Arabia. Niggas is like, whoa, Saudi Arabia. So, you know, they probably did hit Diego Garcia. Let's be real, you know. Some people say, oh, false flag. There's no need. There's no need. Iran already hit like 100 countries. So.
Be able to do that.
Without reviewing the fine print, I believe the answer is no.
No, they weren't. You failed there. You failed to stop Iran from being a nuclear threshold nation. You failed to stop Iran from having missiles that could go thousands of miles. Why should we listen to you? Bottom line here.
Chairman, thank you all for being here. Mr. Hurst, on April 29th, as you indicated to the ranking member, you said that the Iran war had cost $25 billion in total. You reaffirmed that today. Do you have any other updated costs or projections since that testimony that you've given? Outside reporting estimates have indicated that the war costs could be $1 billion a day. Do you have any?
$1 billion a day.
Anything to share?
Holy.
Yeah, thanks for the question, sir. So at the time of testimony in front of the HASC, it was $25 billion. But the Joint Staff team and the Comptroller team are constantly looking at that estimate. And so now we think it's closer to 29. That's because of updated repair and replacement of equipment costs and also just general operational costs to keep people in theater.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Mr. Secretary, when can you share more formal accounting on the cost of the war with Congress and with this committee?
We'll share what we can. I think we've updated on that number this morning, but when it's relevant and required, we will share it.
I think this would be the format that it would be required. Mr. Secretary, on that same day, April 29th, you testified that the current ceasefire meant that the 60-day calendar with the War Powers Resolution was paused. Who are the parties to the ceasefire?
And obviously he's a Democrat. I think he's representing California's 33rd district. But he's asking good questions.
Well, right now, we are in that same ceasefire as of right now.
That wasn't the question. Who are the parties to
Will
the
be the
ceasefire?
United States and the regime in Iran.
Who?
What's his name? Pete Aguilar, right?
How many pages is the ceasefire? What deal points? I'm not asking you to share the contents. I guess what I'm trying to ask is, how do we know that the ceasefire is active or not active without any documentation?
We know it's evident, and the ceasefire is in effect.
But is it pages? Is it 15 points? There's been different points.
Well, I think they got to keep it somewhat covert, right? They can't just show you every single point that either country's offering. But I mean, we've gotten a good idea from the news
That have moved around. Is there any other? How do we know? You just trust that the president knows that the ceasefire is active or not active?
As you know, for the most part, a ceasefire means the fire is ceasing, and we know that has occurred while negotiations occur, and there are lots of different discussions with our negotiating team that are happening. I'm there when those discussions are occurring, different drafts, different perspectives. So it's a very dynamic situation where a negotiated settlement could be the outcome here, where Iran does not have nuclear capabilities. And from the Department of War perspective, we're here to support those options.
On May 5th, you announced the launch of Project Freedom, which is a new exercise where CENTCOM will help coordinate ship traffic.
that was shut down within 24 hours because Kuwait and Saudi Arabia, our former sworn allies, refused to give us access to their bases and airspace to actually administer that operation. For some context. And so when Myron and I say we are going to lose stakes in our Middle Eastern relationships with these Gulf nations, that's a testament to that. So,
and guide commercial ships through the strait. President Trump then announced the operation concluded that evening. Now it seems that we may be revisiting that. Can you give us the latest on Project Freedom?
Well, as it pertains to battlefield options, we don't disclose those types of things. But ultimately, as the president stated publicly in his truth, at the request of the Pakistanis and given the options in the negotiation, it was paused, and it's an option we could always recommence should the commander-in-chief want us to.
Is the theory to create more ceasefires or more projects just to evade the War Powers Act?
All right, so right when I started the stream, I guess the CIA raided Tulsi Gabbard's office. Let's take a look.
John, the CIA just...
Let's take a look at this. See some people put it in the chat, but I guess it's actually real. I don't see it. By the way, it's not being reported in any mainstream news.
Tulsi Gabbard's office. Agents hauled out...
Director of National Intelligence, for those of you who don't know.
Dozens of boxes, files on the JFK assassination and MK Ultra, the CIA mind control operation, which she was in the process of declassifying.
Hold on, guys. Hang on.
Today's whistleblower said it during his deposition, and Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna confirmed it moments ago.
The reason why this is troubling
Where did the tab go? Holy boomer moment. Sorry. That was a boomer moment. Sorry. All right, let's get back. Let's get back. Sorry. Relax. Chat's about to cry.
Boxes, files on the JFK assassination and MK Ultra, the CIA mind control operation, which she was in the process of declassifying. Today's whistleblower said it during his deposition, and Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna confirmed it moments ago.
The reason why this is troubling is, A, there was an executive order that the president had directed the full declassification of JFK, but then also to the MK Ultra files. The CIA famously has said that, all documents were released and other documents had been destroyed. So these are allegedly those documents that apparently never existed.
Whoa. What the hell? They had John Kiriakou on? Okay. We're going to get the full video. Hang tight. Like the video if you have not already. We're going to get into this development. This is interesting. I'm not even privy to this as of any time prior. So let's go ahead and get the full video from Fox. No one's reporting on this, bro. This is like only on X. unsurprisingly. Let's see. Wow. Trying to find this is oddly difficult. Because I know she had the whole thing with Obama. I saw that. Yeah, what? There's literally like nothing on this.
Tulsi Gabbard's office. Agents hauled out dozens of boxes, files on the JS in the Can the CIA overrule the president?
No, the CIA cannot overrule the president. The CIA cannot even overrule the director of national intelligence. In 1975, the Church Committee, which became the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence, specifically ordered DCI William Colby to release all of the MK Ultra files. He famously went back to CIA headquarters and ordered that all of the files be destroyed. 85% of them were destroyed. He was held in contempt of Congress, and then CIA employees lined the halls and contributed cash to pay for the fine that he was ordered to pay. We only know what we know about MK Ultra because of the 15% of the files that weren't destroyed. These are among those 15% of the files. They are mandated to be declassified. The American people have a right to know what is in these files, and the CIA can't raid offices, least of all the offices of the Director of National Intelligence. It's just, real life isn't supposed to work this way. This is crazy.
This is something out of a movie, but the CIA was experimenting with.
So yeah, CIA whistleblower claims the agency took back 40 boxes of JFK and MK Ultra files that Tulsi Gabbard was reviewing for declassification. The whistleblower also alleges the CIA illegally monitored the computer and phone usage of Gabbard's investigators during the probe into the COVID-19 origins cover-up. These were Americans being spied on illegally while carrying out duties directed by the president under the authority of the Director of National Intelligence. All right. Well, interesting development.
LSD.
Very, very suspect here. And we got a bulk of the JFK files declassified in this Trump administration, I believe, not too long ago. And it gave us a lot more insight as to the clearer picture. There was the whole thing with James Angleton and his hearing that was declassified. We had the whole transcript and how the CIA was deeply connected. He had the files of Lee Harvey Oswald on his desk before he actually went and killed JFK. The lore is deep. And so we'll get into that on some stream. I spoke about it briefly a few streams ago, but the lore is quite deep on that one.
On willing and unwilling participants during the Cold War for intelligence operations and to exploit people. And
Cade Shigi, thank you so much for the 1007 to you, my friend. Appreciate it, brother.
It didn't go well a lot of the time, and they threw it all in a wastebasket, right? Like it never really worked. Is that why they don't want anybody to know about it?
I think they don't want people to know any more than what we know about, for example, dosing innocent citizens of San Francisco, California, or a small village in France and putting LSD in the yeast at the only bakery in the village just to see if everybody in the village would go nuts, which they did, of course, or coming up with a program in San Francisco to hire prostitutes to dose Johns and see if they would cough up their innermost secrets. Ridiculous.
All right. Well, we'll go back to Hegseth. We'll see what comes of that. But I mean, probably nothing because the CIA is on top of it. The CIA is on top of it, bro. It's dead. They start and they finish it. Somebody said, but they're not allowed to do that. Bro, the CIA don't play by the rules. Are you kidding me? That's the whole reason why they exist. They're literally meant to not play by the rules.
Theory of the entire case is to prevent Iran from having a nuclear weapon. And if that has to be done kinetically and militarily, the Department of War...
Somebody said W Quest chips. Yo, Quest chips are really good, but them shit screw my stomach up. All the like protein snacks, they cook me, bro. Protein shakes, Quest bars, they just give me indigestion. I don't know what it is.
Is locked and loaded.
Oh, by the way, I got a lot of you guys in here. Shout out to all you guys coming from Iron Stream. Yo, so really quickly, I made a Discord. And when I'm on stream talking to you guys, I'm giving you the news, all that good stuff. However, I know a lot of you guys always send me in super chats or always say, hey, Riyadh, I tried to send you a link. Hey, Riyadh, I DM'd you on Instagram. I DM'd you on X with said link. And I got maybe at this point like 1,000 DMs on Instagram of people asking me questions, sending me their thoughts about the show, hating on me, loving on me, whatever. So I can't sift through all of that. So I made a Discord. I now have a Discord, and I'm going to link it in maybe the chat right here. And so all of you guys could join the Discord, and we'll have a clips channel. So you guys can upload clips. I'm going to have to figure out some way of like moderating it because we're on YouTube. So you can understand what I mean there. Can't really watch anything on YouTube. We're not on Kick. We're not on Rumble. Got to be very careful what we're watching, what is sent in the clips. But I want to get a Discord rolling. Hopefully a lot of you guys like that idea, and it's an opportunity for me to connect a little bit deeper with you guys, go over announcements. You guys will know when I'm going live. You'll have the Discord notification. So yeah, One Chest is kind of helping me out with that. He's been giving me some tips and tricks and whatever. It's pretty straightforward. You just set the Discord up, right? But yeah, I know our moderators will probably help out. Desert Joe, shout out to you, my friend. I see you in here tonight. And then Tia, I don't know if she's here tonight, but Tia will probably help out with that as well. So I'll make a Discord. I'm gonna drop the link in a second. I think it's ready. I'm like not super privy or aware of how to work these things. I'm kind of new to the space, so give me some grace. But we'll have that Discord set up so you guys can give me some clips, and I'll do like a reaction segment. Sneeko does that, so I stole the idea from him. I think it's really smart, and I think it's a really good way to have an intuitive, very interactive show. So we'll do that. Listen, we'll finish up some of this, and then I'll let you guys head over to Fresh and Fit because Clav is right now live with my brother. They got a bunch of girls on, so that's always going to be a good show. So I'll finish up. I'm not going to completely halt the news, but let's see what Pete Aguilar had to say, the Democratic representative out of California, because I know he posed some difficult questions to Pete Hegseth and Kane. So let's keep going here.
Been ready to do that. If it happens through Project Freedom, where you move commerce through, if it happens through a negotiated deal, the president was very clear, even yesterday. This is actually quite simple. Iran will never have a nuclear weapon, one way or another, and we're here to support as one tool of the whole of government to make that happen.
General Kane, the depleted munitions have been a subject of some of the discussions that you've even heard here today. With respect to stockpiles that we have around the world, key regions like the Indo-Pacific and the Middle East, can you give us an update? What are you hearing from the combatant commands about their munitions status around the world?
Well, hey, I'll tell you right now what we're hearing. Check this out. One sec. I know a lot of you guys just came in. What's the situation on Iran's missiles? What's the stockpile situation? Don't worry about what Hegseth is about to say. I'll tell you what the New York Times is about to say, or what they have said in the last day in this article. Excuse me for the burp. And this is from U.S. intelligence. Shows Iran retains substantial missile capabilities despite the war that's ongoing. So you got to love that. I just read through this article earlier, so if you weren't here, just scrub back. I don't want to make everybody go through this redundant repeat. But yeah, you got that. Sagno Sprite, did you talk about the Trump clip? I'll pull it up for you right now. Let's go into it. Yeah, so Trump said the other day he doesn't care about Americans. I'm not even kidding with you. Take a look at this.
When you're negotiating with Iran, Mr. President, to what extent are Americans' financial situations motivating you to make a deal?
When you're negotiating with Iran, to what extent are American financial situations motivating you to make a deal is what she asked. Let's see what Trump says.
Not even a little bit.
Gotta love it.
The only thing that matters when I'm talking about Iran, they can't have a nuclear weapon. I don't think about...
Hey, get this. I don't care that it cost you $7 billion, billions and billions of dollars to pump a full tank on your Toyota Corolla. No, I don't care. Quite frankly, I don't care. As long as Iran doesn't have a nuke. They weren't gonna have a nuke. They weren't making a nuke. They were hedging, Mr. President. They were hedging, Mr. President. They weren't making a bomb. Now they're gonna make one. I've been saying this every single day. Bro, it's crazy. What are we doing? I don't care about Americans. Get more money. Nigga goes, hey, Trump, no one can afford anything. Trump says, get your money up, broke nigga. Get your money up, broke nigga. Okay, bro. I'm not going to curse because my mom is going to give me a 5-minute lecture.
Americans' financial situation, I don't think about anybody. I think about one thing.
He's doing it with the hands. He's doing it with the hands. Look at his hands, bro. I think about one thing. Yeah, it's not you at home. It's not you.
We cannot let Iran have a nuclear weapon. That's all. That's the only thing that motivates.
Crazy work, huh? All right, let's get back. Crazy work. Sagno Sprite says, Riyadh, can I say that a juice box far e-file PDF showing the 10 October 7th experience on Discord? Yeah, hang on to it. I'm going to get you guys locked in with the Discord. Promise. I don't think, maybe I'm not going to drop the link just yet. I need like an established moderator in there to keep things clean. Hang on to it, Sagnos. I got you. Thank you for the super chat.
Well, sir, we have sufficient munitions for what we're tasked to do right now. That's what I hear from the COCOMs. What I will say is I will always want more. So I appreciate the effort of this committee and the Congress. We're always going to want more munitions.
Secretary Haig says, what are you doing to support the involved services to recap their losses?
We're submitting a $1.5 trillion budget that'll remake the department and ensure that every warfighter in the future has exactly what they need, and we're never in a fair fight. And I take issue with the characterization that munitions are depleted in a public forum. That's not true. And ultimately, we have all the munitions needed to execute what we need to execute, and we're going to ensure that we supercharge that going into the future.
Okay, so you're going to strike them again? What do you mean? And, okay, you're going to supercharge that. Good luck to the Gulf countries. Hey, to anybody in the Gulf, genuinely good luck in the next few months. God bless you. To all my Muslims in the Gulf, Allah musta'an, bro. Allahumma musta'an, bro. God be with you. Allah ma'ak, bro. Because if the United States decides to restart this war, you're going to have drones and missiles flying over your head again. And I know for the largely it's been safe, but, you know, we know what Iran's aiming for if we strike again. So I don't think that's a reasonable option. I think that's off the table. If we're really worried about our future Middle Eastern relationships, I think a strike again on Iran, especially in Tehran, I find that to be off the table. No way. I mean, again, we just read the New York Times is saying Iran still retains most of, if not all, its missile stockpile and capability, and we're going to hit them again? Who do you think is going to pay for that? It's the Gulf countries. No way. No way we can do that. No way we can afford that. And why do you think we've been stalling? It's for that reason, likely. So, you know.
I think you've heard differences from both sides of the aisle on that point. Yield back, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, gentlemen. Judge Carter.
Being consulted. You said just a few moments ago, Mr. Secretary, we control the Strait. But it's clear that reopening the Strait of Hormuz for commercial traffic eludes us, in no small part because Iran retains a robust stockpile of cheap, lethal Shahed drones, and they are getting help from our adversaries in rebuilding them.
Oh my God, so true. Thank you.
What is your plan for reopening the Strait of Hormuz, Mr. Secretary?
I would just note that the majority of your question was highly disingenuous and loaded.
What? How?
With suggestions that I very much don't agree with. From the beginning,
please feel free, sir, to pick any one of those
From the
things.
beginning, we've been very clear about the military objectives and the underlying strategic objective, which is preventing Iran from getting a nuclear weapon.
Yes.
Take, for example, the fact that Iranians' conventional Navy, they had aircraft carriers with Shahed drones on them before this started. They had full-on destroyers and battleship capabilities, none of which they have anymore. And
they don't need that. Hey, Benjamin Netanyahu did not visit Washington 7 times to talk about Iran's Navy. God have mercy. Please, somebody give me patience, okay? I just said earlier, I don't scream on stream. They don't care. No one cares about the Navy. Benjamin Netanyahu went to Washington and Mar-a-Lago 7 times to beg Trump to bomb Iran, like he's done with every former U.S. president that has told him, that's beyond the pale, I'm not doing that. and now we go to war with Iran and we destroy a couple ships and we did the job, we finished. Hey, they still got the missiles. Netanyahu's still in danger. Israel's still in danger. They're still cooked. The Gulf countries are still in danger. Okay? And our intelligence is saying that. U.S. intelligence shows Iran retains substantial missile capabilities. So what are you talking about? Who cares about their Navy? Who cares about their Air Force? Which, by the way, played a key role, this is now coming out, in destroying our bases in the Middle East. So their Air Force actually still did exist after the first few strikes on the first 5 or 6 days of the war, in which we boasted and were gloating. Oh, we destroyed their Air Force. It wasn't even hard. Sorry, not gloating, boasting about it. Like, bro.
Did the Iranian Navy have aircraft carriers?
Iranian Navy had 3 drone aircraft carriers. The Iranian Navy had 11
launch
submarines.
platforms for drones, sure.
They had 11 submarines.
And you've
They
sunk
had
all of the regular.
They still got the speedboats that chased you out of the Strait of Hormuz a week ago, though. Remember that? Remember that? They still got those.
Navy, great, good.
They retain fast boat capabilities, which they've always had. We understand that, which we can control for and will. We've degraded almost completely their defense industrial base capabilities. The idea that they control anything, you can terrorize something, you can hold it at issue with piracy, as I've talked about at the Pentagon podium time and time again.
Correct.
That doesn't mean you control it. We control what goes in and out, and we control whether or not we have to restart conflict. The president does as well.
Mr.
So
Secretary,
we're the ones that will manage where this goes in the future, and they have very limited ability to set the tempo or respond to it, and that gives the president a lot of options to ensure that Iran never gets a nuclear weapon.
The connection between
they gonna get one, bitch ass nigga. They gonna get one now. They gonna get one. And it pains me to say that. Hey, we just gave them every legitimate reason to try and chase one now. You're Iran, you're sitting back, you got 60%. I'm feeling goofy tonight. I don't know what's up with me. You're Iran, you're sitting back, you got your 60%, you're hanging out, you're chilling. Persian niggas chilling. And then the U.S. just bombs the shit out of you, kills your leader, kills like 7 other leaders, kills your mom's uncle, kills your dog, kills like several other ethnic groups. What are you going to do with that uranium now? You're going to probably bump it up to weapons grade. You know? Look at him, so smug. You're so stupid. This administration is so dumb. I can't do it anymore. And I'm going, Stephen A. Smith the other day was like, Marco Rubio, man, I love Marco Rubio. They're all stupid. They're all dumb. They're all dumb. They really are all dumb. I don't care anymore. I don't care anymore.
their ability to close the Strait of Hormuz using fast boats and Shahed drones, and our strategic goal, shared broadly, to prevent them from ever having a usable nuclear weapon is utterly unclear to me. And my question was, what's the plan for reopening the Strait of Hormuz to commercial traffic, given
shared broadly,
skyrocketing
but never
prices?
executed. Shared broadly, but never executed, because previous administration didn't have the willingness to actually do what it would take. And when Iran was at its weakest moments following the 12-day war, but still wanted the pursuit of a nuclear capability, President Trump made the courageous decision to go at their conventional umbrella and shield, which they were using to protect their nuclear program, which we knew came with threats and branches and sequels.
My
which we've
concern,
accounted
Mr.
for.
Secretary, is that you've achieved a series of tactical successes, but are on the verge of a strategic loss, because we are now negotiating.
I just think it's so foolish. Here we are.
Mostly decimated. They have probably 18, 19%, but not a lot by comparison. They don't have any radar left. Their missiles are mostly decimated. They have
in a committee in the United States Senate 74 days in, and you're talking about strategic loss. We have the ability to defeat a 47-year threat.
And he's saying the 12-day war weakened Iran significantly. No, we bombed Natanz, Fordo, Isfahan, their nuclear sites, 3 of them. And then Trump says after, and he parades to the media in his braggalicious mannerisms, he says, oh, we destroyed Iran's nuclear program. Matter of fact, we obliterated it. Or if you obliterated it, why did you start a war shortly after on the pretext of nukes? I thought you obliterated it. It's the same thing with everything. The protest. Oh, it's 35,000. It was 30,000. It was 10,000. Now it's 45,000. Pick a number. Hey guys, you're going to lie. At least pick a number. Stick with it.
Of a pursuit of a nuclear weapon. We have more leverage than we've ever had. We've had incredible battlefield successes, and you're talking about a strategic loss,
Mr. Secretary,
disingenuous questions.
Mr. Secretary,
this is how you undercut efforts that could otherwise and are otherwise
I am
being
not
very
your
effective.
enemy, sir.
Shut him up, Chris. Shut him up. The bar is so low, bro. I'm fighting alongside this bleeding heart Democrat.
I am not your adversary. I share your goal of preventing Iran from ever having a usable nuclear weapon. To finish my sentence, control of the Strait of Hormuz, the ability to degrade our partners and allies' gas and oil production capabilities through cheap drones, the ability to harass and harry commercial shipping remains in Iran's hands.
Senator Murphy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you all for being here. Let me give you
Hey, Chris Murphy, what's up, buddy?
Chance, Mr. Secretary, to answer
Connecticut's finest.
Senator Coons'
Shout out to Connecticut, best state in the country.
question, which is a really simple
Yeah, I said it.
one. How are we going to get the strait open? Because nothing matters more to our constituents than doing something about these spiraling gas prices, which are bankrupting families and farmers all across the country. And maybe let me ask it this way. This is the first time you've come before this committee, but in other briefings...
Yo, Chris Murphy collab, what do you guys think?
People that work
I'm joking.
For you have told us in plain terms that there is no military mechanism to reopen the strait, that ultimately it will be a political decision made by Iran. And
I mean, yeah, we can do this all day. You know, I already know what he's going to say. Look, collab is live right now on Fresh and Fit, so go over there and check it out. Let's see what's going on.
Hypergamy is quite brutal.
Pull it up.
And that's why quite honestly, like IRL game, like what we were doing that one stream, it's just dead, right? So like I always like to go out and cold approach because it's fun, but from like a results based standpoint, there's no reason for me to ever do that versus just replying to Instagram DMs. It's just
100%.
It's just too easy.
Yeah, hypergamy is brutal. Anyways, all right, so guys, look, that's everything for me. Me and my brother overlapped on streams and we didn't collab, so I'm sorry. But he had news. He was true criming on coverage, and then collab pulled up, and then he had after hours. He has after hours on these days. So regardless, I'll be back tomorrow, likely with him. Most likely, if not, you can certainly expect me Friday or Thursday, one of the 2 days coming up. I'll always schedule the stream. I'll get you guys on the Discord, and I'm just looking at the chat. Is Connecticut that nice? Connecticut is that nice. Connecticut's like that. Nah. Florida's better, I'll admit. Florida's better. But head over there. Check out the stream. It's probably going to be funny. Lots of arguments. But, love all you guys. I'll be back tomorrow. We'll go over the rest of this hearing. We'll go into Kash Patel. If there's anything new on Tulsi Gabbard, we'll get into it. But there's lots of new stuff with China and Trump. So we'll see what comes of that. That's very important because of how relevant it is and the fact that it pertains or segues into the Iranian conflict, because I'm sure they're going to talk about that at any moment now if they have not already. So we'll get into all that good stuff. I'll stay updated on the topic. Follow me on X if you have not already. My X is simply my YouTube handle. It's Riyadh's Report. Here it is right here for you to all check out. And then my Instagram clips page, I would love if you guys could give that a follow as well. It is Riyadh Pilled. Literally, like, not even kidding. It's just Riyadh Pilled. This is it right here. I'm not logged in. I got to log in. I'm having, issues logging in. But my editor's taking care of it. So head over there. Check out the clips. You're getting updates on Iran. Getting updates on everything going on in the Middle East, really. That's the point of this channel. Heavy geopolitic focus really in the Middle East, giving you guys the updated news, what I think will happen, what I think caused it, some history, good stuff like that. Love all of you, okay? And until the next time, which will hopefully be tomorrow. I don't want to make a promise, but I'm pretty sure I'll be back on tomorrow. So love you guys, and we'll be back. Have a great night. I didn't miss any chats, right? Yep, okay. Why haven't you made a Rumble? I'm here on YouTube, so look, the day is probably coming where I'll have to maybe be on alternate platforms. I'm trying to straddle the line, it's tough, but we're working on it. We're working on all that stuff, but this is where my home is for now. Love all you guys. We'll see you soon. 07. God bless. Have a good night.